This is the spot, the Daytona 500 victory circle right here. Any driver worth his salt has dreamt of being right here where I'm standing. You know, folks, I was here 20 years ago, but today, well, it's somebody else's turn. Yeah, in just a few hours, someone's life will change forever. They will get to stand right here and say, I won the Daytona 500, I won the Daytona 500. It's the great American race, and it's only on Fox.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, boys!
Let's go racing, boys. NASCAR racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys. NASCAR racing, boys. Oh yeah!
Reach up there, pull on belt tight. One more time. It's gonna come all the way to the wire. Here they go. Checkered flag. Perfect. Way to go, guys. Way to go.
To see you perfect. Love to see them tag. Love a last lap turn for a pass, and my guy takes the checkered flag. Love it when it's four wide, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders come, back is moving past. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear the W's say.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's go racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys.
It is the biggest race and the biggest day of the year. Fox Sports presents the Daytona 500. From Richard Petty to Dale Earnhardt to stars of today like Kyle Busch, Jimmie Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and the Days of Thunder. We're at the intersection of fame and failure, legends and losers. The 51st running of the Great American Race. Thrilling, dramatic, and entertaining mix of history happening at 190 miles per hour. Sold out. 200,000 here in Daytona. We welcome you to the Hollywood Hotel. We are trackside. 9th year of our Emmy Award-winning coverage, NASCAR on Fox. It's where America gathers, and we're glad you're with us. They've been here. They've won that. Driver, Darrell Waltrip, crew chief Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. And who needs a stimulus package, right? If you're not excited about this.
No, that's right.
This is the biggest race of the year right here. We start our season off, hit a home run right here. It'll carry you a long way into the season.
Well, I'll tell you how big I think it is right now. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys.
Wait, but we're an hour and a half away from that.
Oh, no?
You know, he was born in Hollywood, Florida.
Yes.
He lives in Hollywood, California.
And now?
He works with Hollywood Hammond in the
Hollywood
Hotel.
And we're hoping for a Hollywood ending. We've had dramatic last-second finishes here the last couple of years.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
20 years ago, buddy.
I thought you were going to.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Valentine.
We have a lot of memories. By the way, there was rain in the area, but we seem to be okay for the 51st running here of the Great American Race. A number of new looks for drivers this year, starting with Tony Stewart as owner and driver for Stewart Haas Racing. His teammate in the 39 car, Ryan Newman. Now, they were teammates a little too close to the final practice for the Daytona 500. This wreck has them both moving back to the back of the pack. And then also there were mergers, Petty Enterprises, Gillette Evernham. So the most famous name in racing, Richard Petty Motorsports, still a part of things. Teresa Earnhardt and Chip Ganassi teaming up too. If it was the other way around, you might have Chip and Dale racing. We'll be in Vegas in 2 weeks. Don't forget to tip your rear tire changer. Jimmie Johnson going for 4 in a row. It's never been done. And Jeff Gordon, 3-time Daytona 500 winner. He's just trying to win a race. Last year, he went winless. And on the front row, it's Martin and Martin. Martin Truex Jr. and 50-year-old Mark Martin, who is 0 for 24 at the Daytona 500. So we counted multiple changes with drivers, teams, sponsors, but we're ready to go racing and have a good time. What excites you most about this season?
Well, I'm going to be looking at 3 guys. 3 guys that won all the races last year, Edwards, Johnson, and Busch, and 3 guys that didn't win any. It's Gordon, Kenseth, and Harvick. So I'm going to be watching those two groups of guys to see who does what.
Well, you talk about do what. I think a lot of the teams right now that made a lot of changes this past year, over half the teams that are in today's race, they were making manufacturer changes, crew chief changes, or driver changes. So a lot of these things are being done because of the guys you're talking about, Darrell, all in an effort, I think, to beat Jimmie Johnson.
All right, based on what
Edwards and Kyle Busch.
And what we've seen so far, there's going to be heated words, some brawls, but enough about us. What about on the track? I mean, it's been a busy couple of weeks here with caution flags and wrecks. So what about the Daytona 500 race?
Well, as I watch these cars go around the racetrack, they're bouncing more this year than they did last year. Cars are all over the place. Guys are juking on the wheel, blowing out tires. We're going to have an action-packed race today. I can promise you that.
And, Darrell, you mentioned it, and Chris did earlier about the fact we had a little bit of rain here this morning. It's washed all the rubber off the racetrack. That's right. We got a green racetrack because there's no rubber there, and it's really going to create some problems while the tires are wearing down and putting that rubber back in the track. It's going to be constantly changing. Got a lot of guys at the back of the pack like Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart. A lot of excitement is going to come from the back toward the front today. So, I mean, a big, exciting race. I can promise you that.
A lot of comers and goers. A lot of comers and goers.
And we have an 18-year-old in the race, 50-year-old Mark Martin starting on the front row. Let's head up to the play-by-play booth. Welcome in Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds. They'll again call the race with Darrell. And Larry and Mike, instead of putting a period on this, let's put a question mark about what excites you most about today's race.
Well, thanks, Chris, and hi, everybody. Since its inception in 1959 and the resultant photo finish, this has been the biggest event in NASCAR, Larry. What's it like to win it? Not once, but twice.
Well, it's like Darrell said, like you just said. Yeah, it's the biggest event of the season. It's the first event of the season. And I just want to add to what Darrell said. Yeah, when you win this race, not only does it take you all the way through the season, not only does it stay with you the rest of your career, trust me, it stays with you the rest of your life when you win this big event.
The names most often mentioned this week as favorites: Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin trying to win his first, and the mercurial Kyle Busch. Who am I leaving out?
Well, I like the guy. He's going to be starting at the back of the pack in a backup car, but he went to victory lane about a week ago in that same car in the Budweiser shootout. He won this 500 2 years ago. I like Kevin Harvick, but I think a dark horse. He's in a backup car, had a great one in the Budweiser shootout. He always runs well here. Keep a close watch on that 26 car of Jamie McMurray.
Well, thanks, guys. 500 miles, 40 cameras, and our 4 pit reporters, Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum, Chris Devoda. Let's check in first with Dick Bergman. Dick, what's going on?
I'll interview the front row drivers. Martin Truex from New Jersey starts on the pole, and Arkansas driver Mark Martin on the outside of the front row.
Four-time champ Jeff Gordon chasing his 4th Daytona 500 victory. I'll check in with Super G about ending his winless streak.
Up until a month ago, a former series champion was on the outside looking in. I'll ask him about his new opportunity.
He's part rock star, part NASCAR ambassador, but he says he's tired of not being all champion. I'll talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr.
All right, thanks, Krista. We're just getting cranked up. Here's what's around the turn. Kyle Busch, Wild Thing, reliving his wild 2008. Plus, Jeff Gordon, he won here Thursday in the duels, but can he get a 4th 500? What about a 2nd Daytona 500 for teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr.? And Tony Stewart opening up a new shop with Ryan Newman. Jeff Hammond gets their business plan. Speaking of Tony, there's an 18-year-old taking over his old ride. Another guy named Speed. You'll meet the rookies in today's race. Jimmy and Chad, DW and Jeff, it's new school. And you'll see old school and then no school. We kid because we care. And music superstar Keith Urban performs live. He'll tell us about the legend of Digger. He's back. And can you figure out what these guys are celebrating? It's NASCAR on Fox, and things are just heating up. We're glad you're with us. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Here comes Newman. Here we go. It's going to come all the way to the wire. Here they go. Ryan Newman, you are the fan.
The 12 car with Ryan Newman winning the Daytona 500 last year. And, you know, last year's Daytona 500 winning car has a new driver and a new look for 2009, as 2008 primary sponsor Alltel was acquired by Verizon Wireless during the offseason. David Strumme taking the wheel of the 12 Penske Racing entry, returning to Cup full-time this season, and the 12 car rolling off in the 24th spot for the Daytona 500. You talk about Ryan Newman. It's been a rough couple of weeks here. I mean, there have only been 3 repeat Daytona 500 winners winners, so he's in for a tough time.
He is, and he's on his third car.
And what about Strumming?
But the thing is, right now, you take a guy like David Strumming, how about pressure put on him? Because he is driving the same car that won the race last year, so a lot of pressure out there for that young man.
Yeah, we've had a lot of drama the last couple of years. 23-year-old Kyle Busch, a roller coaster name for himself lately, racking up frequent flyer miles faster than somebody flying in the air, sometimes alienating a few folks like a bank executive on a private jet. Kyle won 8 of the first 22 races, but when it came to the chase for the Sprint Cup, he came up empty. So let's take a look at the curious case of Kyle Busch.
Hey, I'm Kyle Busch. Nobody had a crazier 2008 than I did.
Still the sport's hottest driver.
Well, maybe he did, or maybe she did. I joined a new team, and nobody knew what to expect, even me. Well, things started out pretty well. Just my 4th race, I got my first win with the team. Oh, yeah. And it was Toyota's first Cup win ever. I won at tracks as short as Dover, and as long as Talladega. Old ones like Darlington, new ones like Chicago. In fact, swept both road courses. I went on a streak where I won 7 out of 14 races. And as Hammond would put it, nearly 50%. When the chase started, I had a 30-point lead. A lot of people were thinking championship, including me. And then, well, let's just say it didn't go so well.
Busch continues to backslide.
I didn't win a race, and we finished 10th. I wasn't too happy. Let me tell you, things are going to be different in 09. Oh yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, take a little shot at you and your math.
Well, I'm just glad that Stevie was in the pits with us all the time. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, that's okay, guys. At least I got it right. I mean, 50% is half of it. But I do know one other thing, too,
What's
Kyle. 0 for 10 in the chase doesn't win the chase.
Right, that, even you could figure that math out. What did he learn, you think, Darrell, that could help him in the chase should he get there this year?
See, I always have this theory. People say, well, you got to lose one to win one. I think you got to lose one to learn how to win one. And I think that team, Steve Addington, those boys, they'll figure it out. They'll be a lot better this year, second time around.
Yeah, he led the most laps in last year's Daytona 500 and also starting in row 2 for today's race. The formula for winning a race, not an exact science, but Professor Hammond is here to help. You may not realize this, but Jeff is a PhD, poor, hungry, and desperate.
Hey!
All right, but he does know racing, and he knows how to save time in the pits, and that'll help steer you to victory lane.
Audio ready?
Ready? Action!
All right, we're here today at Joe Gibbs Racing on the set of a really cool show called Sports Science. What these guys are doing, they're actually breaking down a pit stop. They've got some really neat cameras, I mean, slow motion, everything that you want to know about trying to find, believe it or not, a perfect pit stop. After analyzing several pit stops, here's some amazing stats they came up with. It takes a tire changer 200 milliseconds to remove one lug nut. And when the lug nut is removed, it's traveling at 10 revolutions per second, twice as fast as a helicopter. However, if the tire changer misses one lug nut, well, they've cost the car and the team about 90 feet on the track.
I mean, anybody who watches NASCAR and Fox knows Jeff Hammond, so we invited him down to the set today to see how he stacks up against the big boys today.
The things that I do for Fox, I'm telling you right now, I can't believe I got myself into this one more time, but as DW would tell me, stupid is as stupid does. This is gonna hurt.
$15.53. That is fast.
You still got it after all these years. Good work there.
Too, but I've always said, real men work in the pits, and you can be won and lost off a pit road. It'll probably happen today.
I don't know about all that, but stick to jacking because you look like you had a lot better handle on that, and you did. But I love that camera. Fans are always asking about those lug nuts. What holds them on? Why do we glue them and all that? Look at this.
Incredible. I'm telling you right now, I learned so much. I've never seen shots like this before.
That is cool.
Is it not cool?
I love that.
It's just like I'm hanging this in midair.
It looked like it was twice as fast as a helicopter.
It was.
That was the best damn segment, period. Okay. Nice work, though. If they might need you today, some pit crew run it down.
I'll send you out in my place.
Coming up, we'll talk with some of the drivers who are ready to roll in the 51st running of the Daytona 500. Plus, Digger, animated, right here. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
From Daytona International Speedway, it's the 2009 Daytona 500 pre-race show with multiple Grammy Award winner Keith Earnhardt.
You for a birthday, baby, with your pretty blue eyes, it was driving me crazy. The time little song was so amazing, looking at me. You open the car, oh, baby, you found me sad. They don't look at me, you're sad. Don't you know me? You were tired of me. road, the chick's Mustang, it's every car, so I can still standing here feeling like a love still on me. Oh, and you the clothes, I see the most time. That's what you we say. On the side of the night, I see the one need me. In the backyard, the devil told me to get there. And I always say, oh, to wait there. Won't you find whatever you wait for? I won't sleep. Cause you know what I need you, and there's no way I'll believe it. Till the kitchen on the porch with all the sweet thing. Sweet thing, moon time, and night is gone. Come on and meet me, mama. In the backyard, the kind of tree's a good thing. I truly got a dream now. Climbing out that window, but I was sleeping. There's no way I need you, and there's no way I believe it. Never kissing on the porch for you. Oh, my sweet lady. Sweet thing, sweet thing, sweet thing, sweet thing. I'm talking about you, baby girl. Hey, hey, hey. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Put your mind on my little sweet thing. Thank you so much. Are we in a singing mood today, Daytona? Friday night and the moon is high, I'm wide awake just watching you sleep. Yeah, yeah. And I promise you, you're gonna have more than just the things that she needs. Now we're just starting out, but I know somehow paradise is calling. Someday, baby, you and I are gonna be the ones that good love's gonna shine. Someday, baby, you and I are gonna be the ones, so hold on. We're headed for a better life. Place for you and me, we can dream as big as the sky. I know it's hard to see it now, but baby, someday we're gonna fly.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
We see pictures of that race, and everybody says that's the race that turned the rest of the world onto our sport.
Where will Cale make his move? He comes from the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They get again. They drive into the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. They're out of it. Who is going to win it? At the line, Waltrip to the inside, and he wins it. And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
That's the race to turn this whole sport around. It's the biggest thing that ever happened in NASCAR.
You know, Chris, we wanted something that would make our sport where people would watch it, where they would follow it. We thought a live televised race, flag to flag, would do it. We thought the Daytona 500 was the right place to do it. It made a big difference, all right, but the fight made it unforgettable. That's what really happened.
You don't know the half of the guys. I was working for Jimmie Johnson and Cale Yarborough that day, and when we got through that weekend, I mean, we were pretty dejected, but going back home, Chris, driving up 95, every place we stopped, I saw they were talking about how great a race it was, how about the finish, and oh yeah, how about the fight?
The fight.
The fight.
Was good. Richard Petty won the sixth of his 7 Daytona 500s, but that was only part of the story. Well, NFL,
Chris, by the way, I did finish second.
Okay, yeah, and it was a cylinder that went down, right? We were blaming that. That's our legend, Darrell Waltrip. NFL legend Bill Parcells said if you want to cook the dinner, they ought to let you shop for the groceries. Well, Tony Stewart can now buy the groceries, cook the meal, and deliver the bacon. Stewart made maybe his most daring move, leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to become part owner of his own team. And with A.J. Foyt's blessing, Tony now the driver of the 14 car for Stewart Haas Racing, adding Ryan Newman as a teammate. And as Jeff Hammond discovered, where there is smoke, there is desire.
Welcome to the grand opening of Stewart Haas Racing. I mean, look behind you right there, the grand opening, Tony. I mean, you've said before you never dreamed that you'd ever be an owner, especially at this level. I mean, do you have to pinch yourself to say that I am?
No, because I've been living it every day of the off season now. So, you know, that's what's made finally getting to this point so gratifying, is that we got the right people in place, we got the right guy as a teammate, and we got the right equipment, and that's all I ask for.
You mentioned the teammate. Why this guy?
Well, because he makes me look thinner. So that was the initial reaction.
Because of my size, not my physique.
The longer we spend time with each other, the more we realized how much we had in common, and we like dirt track racing, you know, old vintage race cars, vintage cars. He couldn't take 1,000 guys and have handpicked him any better.
The last time you two guys were here, going down the back straightaway, Tony Stewart, you were leading this race. At the start-finish line, he wins the race. Do you guys ever talk about that?
We talked about it that night. Tony Stewart was one of 4 drivers to come to my bus and congratulate me after he had lost the biggest race of his career. That says a lot about it, if you ask me.
Would you ever consider pulling over and letting me get around you?
No, he wouldn't.
I would fire him. If he did that, I can promise you he would be the first driver to get fired after the first race of the season if I found out that he pulled over for me.
There has not been a successful driver-owner since Alan Kowicki. What makes you think that you can change this?
I didn't come into a situation where I had to start from scratch. If I had to do that, I never would have taken this on. But I came into an organization and I felt like had the pieces in place, it just needed the right people to put it all together.
What type of expectations do you have for not only your car, but Ryan's 39 and the company overall?
I haven't set any goals, and I don't know what realistic expectations should be. The only thing that I can expect each weekend is that every one of us on the team gives 100%. Where those results lie, I don't know where that's going to be, but I mean, I feel like we have the potential to go out there and be just as competitive as anybody else.
Both drivers in backup cars for today's Daytona 500. Darrell, is there a difference in being an owner-driver today where Tony might have more success than given some of those, and you've been there, the difficulties?
You know, one of the things that one of my crew members told me one time, he said, well, I would have liked to have told you weren't a very good driver or you wasn't doing a very good job, but you are my boss, and I was afraid you would fire me. And so you've got to have that layer. You got to have that layer between the owner and the driver, a personnel that can do the business side of it while you go out and take care of your business driving that race car.
And when I told him, he did.
You were the second guy to be fired that quickly.
That's right.
The second time.
The guys right now that's important about this whole thing today is that these two guys right now are going to backup cars. They've tore up a lot of race cars this week. Ryan's killed 2, Tony's killed 1. But the main thing is, in talking to Bobby Hutchins, the GM over there, is they want to leave another car here in Daytona because they still believe that they can win the Daytona 500 with one of these drivers. I mean, they still got a positive attitude on both teams. And I'm telling you right now, you better watch out for that 39 and the 14.
Yeah, Tony won yesterday. He's ready.
Yeah, and he won his 2 championships in a Chevy. I know that was with Gibbs. He's back at a Chevy here and part of a Hendrick mix with Stewart Haas, so he feels comfortable. This will be his 11th Daytona 500. Tony Stewart hoping for that first win. A couple of new drivers to keep a sharp eye on today. 26-year-old Scott Speed from Northern California. Joey Logano from Connecticut. Logano at 18. He's so young he gets carded at Chuck E. Cheese. The two have different backgrounds, but they share something in common. They both love to race, and they're in their first Daytona 500. And with Joey and Scott, youth and speed are served.
Hi, I'm Joey Logano. Hey, what's up? I'm Scott Speed. Driver number 20, Home Depot Toyota. Driver number 82, Red Bull Toyota, and I'm a rookie. Woo! I started at a really young age. I started when I was 6. Now I'm 18 years old and getting ready to start the Daytona 500. Started racing go-karts when I was 10 years old. Eventually picked up a sponsorship with Red Bull, moved to Europe. 3 years later, I was racing Formula One. I always remember looking back, watching the Cup races at Daytona or anywhere, and you see these guys, racing hard, and now you're racing against them. That's awesome. I think my goals are a little bit different than most people in the sport. This is a big learning curve. The more I learn, the happier I'm going to be by the end of the year. I'm taking over 20 cars this year. Tony Stewart's been there for 10 years. Got some really big shoes to fill. Yeah, my last name is Speed. Honestly, I mean, if my dad was really creative, he would have named me Max. To start the Daytona 500, the Great American Race, is so cool. And not many people get the opportunity to race with guys like Jimmie Johnson. And to be the youngest one to ever start the Daytona 500 is definitely a heck of an accomplishment. I'm going to try to make the best of it. That's a wrap.
We watched Joey in practice, and he was having a terrible time with the car. The car was hopping all over the place, and it wasn't driving right, and he doesn't have the experience to tell the team what to do. Zipadelli's asked him, what does he need? And he said, I don't know what I need. So they stuck Kyle Busch in the car. And as we look at this 2-box, that's Joey on the bottom. Look at him chopping wood. I mean, he's just going crazy down there on the bottom. And this is the same race car that Kyle's in up at the top on the left there. Same race car. One guy with experience, one here before, and the guy on the right who has no experience. He didn't know what to tell him. Those pictures will tell him a lot.
Yeah, at 18, youngest driver to start at Daytona 500, Joey Logano, no rookie, has won the Daytona 500. Well, this year, NASCAR welcomes a new official sponsor to the sport, Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. Ask.com will also be on the hood of the 96 car, driven by Bobby Labonte. He's with our Steve Burns.
Well, there were some anxious moments for 2000 Series champ Bobby Labonte, but Bobby, in January, Doug Yates, Hall of Fame Racing, and Ask.com put this package together, and here you are in Daytona.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was a late Christmas present, and all the folks at Ask.com and Yates Racing and Hall of Fame Racing come together. I mean, it definitely took up some time to put this thing together, but it's coming around real fast. So really excited to have our Ford Fusion run really good here at Daytona.
Now, Bobby, I've known you for a long time. If anybody fit the profile, you are a gadget guy, you are tech savvy, so Ask.com fits you perfectly.
Well, I hope so, and obviously it's the official search engine of NASCAR, and they really have beefed up their program, and the folks at Ask.com is, there's so many things you can go to and ask the right questions, and NASCAR is a great fit for them, and we're so glad to have them in the sport, and glad to be driving their car.
Finally, your thoughts about today's race?
Looking forward to it. Obviously, we've been down here for a long time, and we had a shootout car that was a little hard to handle, a little bit free, and I thought the Gatorade duels was pretty good. So we got our car working a little bit better. The weather's kind of threw us a little curve, but obviously we're going to be working real hard to make sure we handle all day and not have a problem and be there at the end in victory lane.
Good luck, Bobby.
Thank you.
Well, here's the front row. Martin Truex Jr. is going to start on the pole. Mark Martin is going to start on the outside of the front row. His 25th attempt to win the Daytona 500. You've got a great car, a great crew chief, plenty of confidence. Is today the big day?
We sure hope so, man. This team is so charged up, and it's just it's been a lot of fun so far during Speed Weeks. They've given me a great car with the Kellogg's CarQuest Chevrolet, and this could be it. We'll see.
And Martin Truex with his best ever start at Daytona as well. But on Thursday in the duels, a big slide for life. We've seen a lot of crashes. How do you keep the car whole to win the race?
Well, we got to hope that nothing happens around us. We got to be smart, try to keep our car in one piece, but there's never any telling here. So we'll just do what we can. Our Bass Pro Chevy's been good all week long. We got it really good yesterday in happy hour, and hopefully it'll handle good all night long. We'll keep the tires on it, and I think the key tonight is just to be around at the end, and we'll have a shot.
Good luck to both of you.
All right, thanks, Dick. Yeah, boy, Mark Martin, he's retired more than Cher.
No, yeah, but you know what? He's got arms like Popeye.
Okay, he's in good shape.
He might be 50 years old, but he's my pick for today.
Wow. All right, we'll get your pick a little later.
All right.
GW picking Mark Martin. Today in the battle against breast cancer, we're wearing pins for Susan G. Komen for the cure as part of charitable initiative that Fox Sports supports. That raises awareness and financial assistance for health-related charities. Our other 2009 charitable partners include the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, City of Hope, and Malaria No More. For more information, please visit foxsportssupports.com. We're counting you down to the 51st running of the Daytona 500. Straight ahead, you'll hear from Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and champ Jimmie Johnson. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By Subway, the big event is back. Any regular footlong for just $5. Subway, eat fresh. And by Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Darrell Waltrip, he's done it.
What a moment.
What a man.
1989.
1989.
What was I doing in 1989? I was graduating high school. I was just starting my racing career.
I was 4 years old. I wasn't doing it.
I wasn't even born yet.
It's been 20 years.
20 years? 20 years, big bro.
Congratulations, old man.
Congratulations, DW.
Congrats.
Congrats.
But now, it's my turn. It's my turn.
My turn to take the checkered flag.
My turn to win.
The Daytona 500.
Great American race.
It's my turn to drive into victory lane. My turn to celebrate. And while we're on the subject.
Oh, I won the Daytona 500! I won the Daytona 500! The icky shuffle.
Oh man, the icky shuffle.
Really? Really, DW?
Seriously? Why? Why? How does it go?
Thank goodness you did it first, Darrell. We thank those guys for being good sports. I know somebody will get their time today, and you've won championships. I mean, that has to be. You get emotional every time we talk about your Daytona 500.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. Nobody outside this sport probably understands what a big deal it is. But when you think about the history and the prestige of this event, the great drivers that have won it, the preparation that goes into it, and the emotion that's involved. I didn't have to get out and fight anybody when it was over with. I had to fight back the tears of joy. I was so excited about standing in Victory Circle at Daytona, holding that trophy with my little girl, Jessica Lee Waltrip. She was 1.5 years old, and she was there with us, just like Jeff was the other day. Brought back another great memory. So there's no trophy I have. There's nothing I've done that can replace that day.
Yeah, nice mustache from you as the crew chief. You look like from Hall & Oates, John Oates.
I don't care. I mean, we got to go to Victory Lane, and that's the thing right now. I got a chance to join a great group of crew chiefs like Dale Lemon and Smokey Unick and Ray Fox. And I got a chance to do it with my buddy here. I mean, that's what really matters more than anything to me is he deserved it.
And he and Stevie did the mileage, and he made the call, and had a lot to do with it.
If you won today, Darrell, I don't know what kind of dance, but here's what we thought it might look like this. You celebrating if you were in Victory Lane one more time. Look at with the confetti.
Do it, baby. Look at it. Shooting champagne, and look at the girls.
Hey, wait a minute. How'd they get in there?
I don't know, but they look pretty good.
Yeah, Bill Richards superimposed those after. You had no idea that they were going to be there. All right, over the past 20 years, there's been a great deal of change in NASCAR, so let's bring you up to date on some other moves. We've been doing that throughout the show. David Reagan, he's taken over as the driver of the UPS car. UPS has won many times on the NASCAR circuit, and with the 23-year-old Reagan behind the wheel, you can look for David and the number 6 at UPS to once again be in Victory Lane. Auto Trader Trading Paint shows lots of drivers in new cars this year. Tony Stewart in the 14. We've talked about his new race team with Ryan Newman in the 39, making up Stewart Haas Racing. We talked about the youngster, Joey Logano, taking over the Big Orange 20. Mark Martin into the 5 Kellogg's car with Hendrick Motorsports. Clint Boyer in the 33. So Casey Mears goes to the 07. Reed Sorensen on the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. And you can find the car you want at the price you want at autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive market, I should say the ultimate automotive place for your car. In 2008, Carl Edwards, his 9 wins were the most for any driver, and you would think if it walked like a duck, sounded like a duck, that he'd be the champion. Instead, he was a close second, and now in his Aflac Ford, Carl is one of the favorites to win this year's championship. The driver from the Show Me State shows us how good he really is.
Carl is the man.
That 99 car, he is picking them up, laying them down.
Carl Edwards wins. He's in a league of his own right now.
Ah, yeah, stuck the landing.
Great to have Carl Edwards joining us from down on the track and in his car, waving to the crowd, ready to roll. Carl, first of all, I know you're worried about the race, but congratulations on the marriage to Kate. Everything going okay there?
Yeah, everything's good, guys. It's good to be out here. Thanks for having me. I'm just excited to get to race today. You know, all winter we were away from the racetrack. We hear all this gloom and doom, and now I'm seeing these all these fans here, and it's exciting to be in the Daytona 500.
Hey, Carl, it's a DW, and you know, man, you're my pick for the day's race, by the way. And I just wanted to ask you something. Jimmie Johnson's always accused of being too nice. Now, you, on the other hand, you like to mix it up. Do you like your image, Carl? Do you think that's the way to go?
Listen, man, I just, I do what I feel like is the right thing to do, and every once in a while it gets me in a little bit of trouble, but I think that's just part of the deal. You got to do the best thing you can at the time, and whatever comes from it, that's what comes from it. So I guess if what people see is me, then that's cool, and I'm happy with it.
Carl, this is Hammond. Yesterday, along those same lines, you talk about the fact that you do what you got to do. Yesterday, you had a great nationwide race, and you said, I thought about going to the outside and kind of challenging up through there. If you got in that same position this evening to win the Daytona 500, a little different maybe effort?
Yeah, that's exactly. It'd be a lot different today, man. I mean, it's the Daytona 500. There won't be any lifting off the gas today. And the cool thing about this the chase format is the points that we get or we don't get today. Hopefully we got time to make it up before the chase starts, so it'll be a little different today.
Well, and you won 3 of the last 4 races last year. Hopefully that momentum will carry you through today. Carl, thanks again. We appreciate it. Have fun.
Thanks, guys, and thanks, Daryl, for picking me. That's cool, man.
All right, and we also sent, with the wedding gift, we sent a blender and some tires. Yeah. I hope you could use that. All right, 4-time NASCAR champ Jeff Gordon. He's won 3 Daytona 500s, but last year, for the first time since his rookie season in '93, Jeff didn't win a race. This week, Gordon has been the buzz of Daytona as he dueled his way into victory lane.
When they added all those flames on the side of that car, I said that car's going to be bad to the bone.
Gordon wins it. She gets to go to victory lane. Oh, that's the way to start off 2009, baby.
I'm picking Jeff Gordon.
Sprinkled with very special moments. Thursday was one of those. Daughter Ella's first trip to a NASCAR victory lane. But how special, you've not won it not once, twice, but 3 times, to go for a 4th and also end the winless streak. What would it mean to you and this team?
Well, it'd mean the world. We're really fired up about this season and this race here, particularly today. I mean, I just feel great. I see a look in the eyes of all the guys on my team that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm really excited about that. And winning this thing 3 times, it's the ultimate race, and I love being a part of it. But each one of those wins has only motivated me to go out there and want to win it again. So love to enjoy that experience. Love to see Ella back in victory lane, and love to see this DuPont Chevrolet there as well.
Jeff Gordon tried to do something that the king Richard Petty did. In '78 he went winless, and then in '79 he won the Great American Race at Daytona 500.
And he has more restrictor plate wins, of course, this restrictor plate track than anybody else in the history of the sport. Are you gonna, you've picked Mark Martin, Carl Edwards. You're going to pick Jeff Gordon today?
Jeff Gordon's my man today, boys. I'm going to tell you something right now. No, one thing I like about Jeff's car, it looks like it's handling the best of any car I've seen out there all week. It's riding through the bumps smoother than anybody else, and he's up on the wheel. He wants to win, get that goose egg out beside his name from last year.
Chris, let me explain something to you.
Right.
I haven't picked yet.
Yes.
And I am picking Jeff Gordon today. I think his car is exactly what Daryl's saying. He's got the right kind of attitude. He's got the right car, and he's definitely got motivation.
Yeah, he's got the experience.
You want to pick the whole field, maybe?
No.
Well, he's kind of cover things.
He's just letting that who's in the race.
I'm really worried about Jimmie Johnson.
As for Jeff
and
Gordon's
Kyle Busch and
teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., 6th straight year he's been voted by the fans as NASCAR's most popular driver. Last year, Dale Jr. won just one race, but he does have a Daytona 500 victory in his career, and Junior Nation would love to see another win today.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., Junior Nation.
Here comes the Pied Piper.
Junior! He's one of the best.
I can see him waving. I can hear him cheering.
And he is in the absolute A position.
He is coming, man, I'm telling you.
Last year, Dale Earnhardt Jr. made it back to victory lane and into the chase, but even so, Junior, you said you set the bar high and you still haven't delivered that total package. Why will this year be the year?
Well, we got everything we need. We got great cars. We got awesome engines. The guys at Hendrick do such a good job on the motors. And I think our team's really focused, really got a lot of confidence, and we're more prepared going into this season. Last year we were sort of a new team putting everything together, and the guys feel like that they're better prepared as far as having cars ready for the season, ready to go to the next several tracks. So I don't know, we'll just see. We got the tools, just got to get it done.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. says he wants that feeling he had in 2004, and oh, by the way, that's the year he started off with a Daytona 500 win.
Thanks, Krista. He'll be in row 7. He does have 12 wins, on this Daytona track, so he's had success here. What about his chances for this race today?
Well, the car doesn't look like he's been very happy all through practice. They've worked on it a lot, so I don't know if they've gotten it fixed or not, and the weather may play right into his favor. And I said I wasn't going to say this, but he won on the 15th. His dad won on the 15th. Today's the 15th, so.
What are you doing? You trying to pick another driver?
I love the numerology.
Well, Look, I'm connecting the dots.
Chris, just sum it up. He said it best. He's got to get it done. I mean, this year, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has got to get it done. No excuses.
And Tony Uri Jr., of course, too, part of that working combination. They're trying to fine-tune his cousin. In today's race, Jimmie Johnson begins his quest for history. Jimmie and crew chief Chad Knaus going for their 4th straight NASCAR championship. No NFL team has even won 3 straight Super Bowls. The last time 4 in a row happened in the NBA, Celtics in the 60s. In baseball, Yankees in the 50s. We asked our dynamic duo of Darrell and Jeff to team up with Jimmie and Chad.
I don't believe there's anybody that can step it up right at the end of a race than Jimmie Johnson.
Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus seal the deal.
Awesome year, boys. Thank you.
You got to give Chad and Jimmie a lot of credit, guys. Why am I sitting by you? I should be drivers and crew chiefs and crew chiefs.
Well, let's
Don't you agree, Jimmy?
No. You need to understand something.
They want to keep us.
They're the new. Unfortunately, we're the old.
Oh, new school, old school?
New school to old school.
The old school guys have a little more time in the sun. Look at those suntans on this.
They're looking good.
We've been playing golf all week. Kale told me to remind you, you've only tied him. I love that at the back, but boy, I want to tell you something. You just tied me. You ain't beat me yet. So
straight to me and Darrell. You gonna make it 4 in a row?
What about these cameras and all other people?
Ignore the cameras. Ignore the cameras.
I'm trying to get them to leave. They won't.
We definitely want to be the only person to win 4 championships in a row, and we feel that we have everything there to do it. We're not going to let that pressure hit us yet. Once we get closer to the chase, absolutely, it's going to show up and it'll be right there.
Chad, what makes this guy here so special?
Man, the guy's got a head on his shoulders. Like, he can communicate, he can talk, he can watch a race play out as it's going through. But honestly, he's one of my best friends. So there's a lot to be said for that.
What is it about Chad that complements those skills you have?
When I would drive a lap in the car and explain what I felt, it was like you sit in the passenger seat with me. The fact that he could ride around that track with me and understand what was going on was just phenomenal to me. So he has that visual aspect plus a work ethic second to none.
We had to come up with a motto of like what was said on Sunday was forgot on Monday. How do you absorb that?
I think when those experiences take place, you respect the other guy. I mean, I respect the hell out of him when he can, give me an earful and whip me into shape. And if it goes the other direction, the same thing where my rookie year, sophomore year, it was like, wow, that hurt my feelings. Now it's like, okay, cool. You think that's fine. I mean, you got to be tough. It's man's sport.
Let's talk image. Be who you've been up to this point. Why do you feel compelled to change your image and change who you are?
Why don't you cut to the chase and just say, why you grow the beard?
The beard means that I've changed who I am.
Well, it's a must. I mean,
Come on.
What does it mean?
This is me. I mean, every winter I grow a beard out, and every time the season comes around, Chad's like, look, you look like a bum. You need to shave it off. Truthfully, I just like getting you riled up. So this is all for you, buddy.
I love it, man. I love both of them.
A lot of success in that foursome, I'll tell you right there. Boy, hey, I remember, Darrell, it wasn't too long ago, Rick Hendrick had to get Canales and Jimmie Johnson together and say, hey, you guys, get on the same page. Let's not,
that was the little cookie and milk conversation they had.
Okay.
They told us about. We had a great time with those guys, by the way. We could have sat there all day.
All right,
they were so fun.
Four in a row. Give me this. Good chance, great chance, not so good.
I keep saying it, and I'll say it right now. Until somebody shows me that they can beat those guys, I'm on their team.
I can't argue with you on that. I mean, I think there's some guys out there that have got an opportunity to take them down, but it's going to be difficult.
All right, our championship picks coming up in a moment. Time for Gas and Go. I ask the questions, they fabricate.
I thought they got rid of
the answers. No, this is this is sponsored now. All right, we've hermetically sealed the questions in Bernie Madoff's vault, so nobody knows. All right, here you go. We're on the clock. Jeff, what will the testing restrictions mean to racing this season?
I think it's going to be, it won't change anything. I think these guys are so good. They're going in. They know what they have to do at the shop. If Daytona's any indication, we've had great racing. I believe we'll be fine when we go to California.
All right, well, we'll head on the graphics here. Darrell, for you, 9 guys in backup cars. How tough will it be for those guys to win?
Well, not at all, because some of those guys that are in backup cars actually race those cars in the Budweiser shootout. So I feel pretty good about the guys that are in backup cars. Plus, with no testing, that really doesn't make any difference. They hadn't tested either car. I think that some of these guys are happy to be in their backup cars.
Yeah, we have 3 Daytona 500 winners that actually won in backup cars. All right, Jeff, for you, Clint Boyer switched teams. Does he still make the chase? He was in the top 5 in points in the last 2 seasons.
I know he's been in the top 5, but right now he is one of the guys I think is going to have to do something special. He's got to get on the same page with his crew chief right there, and it's Shane Wilson. And if he does it, I think it's going to be hard for him to do that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is difficult.
All right, difficult. All right, Darrell, for you, Harvick, he's good here. Won the Budweiser shootout at Daytona 500, that great finish. How do you like his chances today? And he's starting way back 32nd. And he won from 34th, the furthest back.
This is one of the most consistent teams in the sport right now. They always get top 5 finishes. They don't win a lot of races. He hadn't won since 2007, but he'll be in the top 5, but I don't think he can win today.
Okay, good. So a guy he didn't pick, which is amazing.
Can you
All
believe
right, Jeff, what will it take for Kurt Busch to return to championship contention? He helped, remember, last year's Daytona 500 winner get across.
The main thing this young man here has got to do is just realize this is a long season. He's got to stay up on the wheel for the entire year. He's phenomenal at doing what he does. He just has got to realize that he's got to deal with some ups and downs to be around when it really matters in the end.
Penske Racing, one of the great contributors to the sport. All right, Darrell, for you, Dale Jr.'s championship window, is it closing here, right? He's never been higher than, what, 3rd for a championship?
Oh, I think he's feeling the pressure of not having a championship. I think that's one of the that's probably a top priority on his list of things to do, and he better get it done this year, because it's time's running out.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, Bobby Allison, Dale Jarrett were guys that took a while to get to that point. Jeff, will Jamie McMurray be a Roush driver next season? Contract year for him.
Yes, I think the young man has got everything he needs. He's got his crew chief back as far as Donnie Wingo is concerned. He'll make it happen.
All right, and Darrell, for you, how strange to see a Daytona 500 without a Petty. First time in, what, 40 years? Since we don't have a Petty racing. Lee Petty was the only one to win on his first try in the Daytona 500.
I just think it shows how the sport is just continuing to change. And that's a huge change in this sport, not having a Petty in the field. They owned this joint for years. But, time marches on.
All right, thanks for playing Gas and Go. All right, now time for our Watchmen Drivers to Watch, a segment here that we are going to give the picks for the championship. We think overall who's going to win. Before that, let's take a look back at our predictions from last year.
I believe that Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be able to pull it out.
Darrell, how about you? Karnak, the Magnificent. All right, Kyle Busch. I'm going to take Carl Edwards. All right, you got to give me a win. You're the experts, and I finished higher than either one of you.
Second is still first loser, right?
All right, well, then you're second and third loser.
Still a loser.
All right, Darrell, who do you like for this year's championship?
I'll tell you, I go with Jimmie Johnson. And Chad, I think they got it figured out. Somebody's got to beat them.
All right, Sprint Cup champion.
He was making me real nervous earlier because I like the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Again, very consistent.
To win the championship?
I think this year
that's
they're going to
gutsy.
win some races and use that consistency to win it.
All right, I'm going to take the Affleck Ford and Carl Edwards again. I think that FR9 engine, if Ford gets that in by the time they get to the chase, this could really make a difference in horsepower.
Hit him in the head.
All right, so give me your final Daytona 500 pick for this race. Who's it going to be?
No, I love Carl. He's my favorite driver of all time, but I've got to go with Mark Martin. He deserves to win
Sentimental
this race.
favorite. How about you for this race?
2-4. I'm telling you right now, Jeff Gordon, Super G, you want to call him, I believe he is primed and ready.
All right, but thanks, Darrell. We look forward to another great Daytona 500.
I
like Jeff Gordon today, too. I didn't want to follow.
Okay. Now you and I are on the same page. That's good.
I was going to pick Jeff Gordon, too, but I knew that wouldn't be all three
and
of
stay
us.
tuned for an in-race sneak peek of Watchmen, okay, from the visionary director of 300. It opens everywhere March 6th, and we'll be watching our championship picks and race picks throughout the season. Good luck in the broadcast booth. Have a lot of fun.
Yep.
Let's go racing.
Oh, we're going to have fun. When we hear the boogity, 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 it's going to be crazy go nuts here at Daytona. Tim Tebow, Jimmie Johnson trying to go for 4 in a row. The drivers, the crews are getting ready for the 51st running of the Great American Race.
It's Larry's favorite quarterback.
Fox Live in Daytona, 200,000 fans on hand, millions more watching, 3 countries, 18 states ready to roll for the Daytona 500.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Joint Services Color Guard present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Dr. David Youth of First Baptist Church of Orlando offers today's invocation.
Would you pray with me? God, thank you first of all for sunshine today. Lord, we ask that it would be a beautiful day, for this is the day you've made and we're going to rejoice in it. And Father, thank you for the men and women who are serving this great country, protecting our freedoms. God bless them today. Thank you for NASCAR, who begins every event with prayer. Thank you they still believe in prayer. Lord, protect the drivers, protect the fans when they travel home. And Father, most of all, we thank you for Jesus Christ. This is a sport, but you are our life, the way, and the truth. It is in your name that we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
And now, here to perform our national anthem, please welcome platinum recording artist Gavin DeGraw.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Special moment for a special race. And we know the economy has been hard on many, but you sit back and relax, at least for the next 4 hours. You enjoy yourselves. You have a front row seat for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Fox welcomes you back live here in Daytona. Michael Waltrip getting some family support as the drivers are getting ready to roll. 43 drivers, 500 miles, 200 laps. A little cloudy out there. Looks like rain so far holding off. Jeff, what's your Verizon Championship Racing checklist for the race?
Well, Chris, when I sat down and got to thinking about what it might need to make this really work, number one has to be tires. I mean, we've had so many different issues between them wearing out and being, kind of like unpredictable. You got to be on guard today. If you feel something wrong, you better hit pit road. The second thing, you've got to trust your spotter. When you're running a pack like this, you've got to trust him to put you in the best place possible to keep you out of trouble. And if you don't listen to him, you may just maybe start something. And last but not least, we always say it, don't beat yourself. Whether it's on the track or on pit road. We saw a lot of mistakes during the dual 150s on Thursdays. You cannot do that and expect to win the Daytona 500.
And you were wandering through the garage before we got together here for the pre-race show at the Hollywood Hotel. What was the buzzword? What's the vibe?
Everybody I talked to, you got to realize this is the closest field we've ever had, I think, here at Daytona. Everybody's so close as far as speeds are concerned, but the word has to be the sign of no excuses, none at all. Everybody feels like they're the best prepared they've ever been. This is the best we can put out on the racetrack, so no excuses by anybody, all 43 cars. And let's don't forget, the last 2 Daytona 500s have been all but photo finishes.
And the last 7, we've had 7 different winners with Martin Truex on the pole, Mark Martin on the front row. We have 9 drivers that'll be racing in their backup cars. We'll introduce the field here in a moment, but let's head back down trackside.
And now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome the Governor of Florida, Mr. Charlie Crist.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
That's a great sound, and for the 9th year at Daytona, it's NASCAR on Fox. We're getting ready to go racing wherever you're watching. We're glad you're with us. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. And we welcome you back. The wait is over. Now it's time to hand it over to the man who will call today's race and guide us through another season of NASCAR on Fox. Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip. Gentlemen, start your talking.
Thank you, Chris.
Not a problem.
Engines are running. Hearts are racing, especially in the cockpits of those 43 cars. Darrell, only 32 men have ever won the Daytona 500 from behind the steering wheel. What are those drivers feeling and thinking right now?
Mike, every sport has its big event. Every sport has its premier event, the one you want to win. This is our premier event. This is the one that when it's all said and done and you got all those trophies lined up in the case, that Daytona 500 trophy will be the one you look at the most and remember the most. No matter how many times, once or 10 times, that's it. That's the one.
Larry, we had a lot of rain this morning, and usually daytime to nighttime, the drivers see what essentially are 2 different racetracks. What about today?
Well, these cooler temperatures we have right now, they're going to take the green flag. It's closed the gap, but there's no question. We've got a lot of pit stops. Some rubbers get down on this racetrack, and these guys know they're going to have to make major adjustments on the car. The nighttime is the right time, and that's when you better have that race car right. But, Mike, it's 200 laps, and the lap that I'm looking for is lap 199, 1 lap to go, because if you look at the last 2 Daytona 500s, the man that led that lap did not take the checkered flag first.
Let's have a look at the Budweiser starting grid for the 51st Daytona 500. Starting shotgun on the field with the past champions provisional Terry Labonte in a Toyota. Regan Smith, Travis Kvapil got in on their time trial speed, as did Bill Elliott. Matt Kenseth, one of the drivers, will have to go to the rear, as will Andretti and rookie Scott Speed due to backup cars, and Ryan Newman, who also crashed earlier in the week. Reed Sorensen with a new team, David Reagan back with Roush Racing. Kevin Harvick, he'll have to go to the rear with a backup car. Robbie Gordon, Elliott Sadler, and Sam Hornish, another of the 7 drivers who will fade to the back on the pace laps. David Rudiman, former winner Michael Waltrip. Jeff Burton and Casey Mears, who is now Burton's new teammate. David Stremme, new to the Penske organization, and Marcus Ambrose from Australia. Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray in row 11. Starting 19th and 20th, A.J. Allmendinger, now in a Dodge, and Paul Menard with a new team as well. Scott Riggs and Jeremy Mayfield, neither of those teams existed 30 days ago. Carl Edwards, a season-long favorite, and can Casey Kane return to victory lane this year? Kurt Busch, the runner-up last year. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the perennial fan favorite. Bobby Labonte, another past champion, and from Tampa, young upstart Eric Almirola. Joey Logano at 18, the youngest driver ever to start the 500 with his new teammate Denny Hamlin. Juan Pablo Montoya from Colombia, and the reigning Sprint Cup champion Jimmie Johnson. Brian Vickers, who's won at Talladega. Tony Stewart, who won yesterday, but he will also go to a backup car. In row 2, Kyle Busch, who pressured Stewart to the checkered flag in yesterday's nationwide race, and Jeff Gordon, winless all last season, but a winner on Thursday. And the fastest 2 time trialers, Mark Martin, second, age 50, looking for his first 500 win, and Martin Truex Jr. in an Earnhardt Ganassi Chevy, the pole sitter for the 500. Today's race is brought to you by Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Enjoy the Great American Race with the Great American Lager, Budweiser.
You know, one of the sentimental favorites this week is all week long actually has been Mark Martin. Let's check in with him and see how he's feeling this morning. Mark Martin, it's a DW Fox Sports. Got a copy?
You know, just got the whole world pulling for you, and just really, really proud. What an awesome team you guys put together.
10-4, boss. All because of you, buddy.
Yes, sir. We're proud to be a part of it. And yes, Fox, I do have a copy.
All right, Mark, got one question for you, buddy. I don't want to know about the boys back at the shop. I don't want to know about how the car's running. I want to know what winning this race would mean to Mark Martin, who came so close 2 years ago.
DW, I think I'd cry just like you did, pal. And I've never done that before. So we got the car to do it. We just have to see how the cards play out here at the end. Make sure we're here at the end, and then see how the cards play out.
10-4, Mark. What are you worried about most today, buddy? What's your biggest concern as you come to get the green, one to go?
Getting caught up in somebody else's ring. That's my only worry, really, to be honest with you.
Well, to echo your boss's, Rick Hendrick's words, America's pulling for you. Good luck.
Thank you, buddy.
And there is Rick and Linda Hendrick, owner of 4 cars in this year's 500, including Mark Martin's. That was his voice you heard first when we tried to talk to Mark.
There you see it, 500 miles, 200 laps, pit road speed, very important, especially if you've been out on the racetrack running almost 190 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour on pit road. The pit window for Sunoco race fuel, 42 to 46 laps. We talked about the 7 cars that crashed during the duels and in practice. Those right there, they will have to go to the rear of the field to take the green flag.
Let's have a look at today's FedEx Keys to the Race.
This is actually understanding the race, and we're looking at things a little different. It's the way crew chiefs look at trends or patterns of the Daytona 500. A look at the past 8 500s here at Daytona. The total number of cautions, average 7. The most we had was 11 in 2005, 2006. The first caution comes roughly about lap 32. The earliest in the last 8 races was lap 8 in 2004. The latest was lap 81, actually last year. The longest green flag run, 68 laps. So what that means right there, these crew chiefs know they're probably going to have at least 1 green flag stop. Green laps to the finish, the average is 19 laps, but the last 4 500s, we have only had 3 green flag laps or less to get to the finish, and we'll see how these trends and these patterns come into play in today's race.
The field is split in half, 2 pace cars leading the field so drivers can gauge their pit road speed via the tachometer. And as the back of the pack catches up to the front, let's check in with our NASCAR on Fox award-winning pit crew led by Steve Burns.
Thank you, Mike. You gentlemen have talked about changing track conditions. Jimmie Johnson and this 48 team know that conserving and taking care of tires could be a big key to winning here at Daytona. And keep an eye on them to see if they go to the front. Being out in front of the pack is easier on tires, Dick Berggren.
Well, for the last 6 years in a row, NASCAR's fans have voted Dale Earnhardt Jr. their favorite driver. This is his best track. He has won a dozen different events here at Daytona. And with so many drivers coming in with newness, he's got his favorite crew chief, his cousin, and the pit crew is a bunch of guys he's worked with before. Junior has a good chance to win today, Matt Yoakum.
Dig, 18-year-old Joey Logano ushering in a new era at Joe Gibbs Racing, making his first ever Daytona 500 start. Everyone this week has given him so much advice, but the biggest advice that could prove to be stellar today, positive. That's the word that basically Joey Logano has been told by his mentor and driving coach, Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin, a former NASCAR winner. You'll see so many new experiences today. If you make a mistake, just think of the positive side of what you learned so you don't do it again. To Chris Devoda.
Well, we've told you about the ringer that the Stewart Haas organization has been through this week. Ryan Newman on his third car of the week. It used to be Tony Stewart's Bud Shootout backup car. It used to be red. The team spent about 2 extra hours decaling that car. I spoke to competition director Bobby Hutchins just a few moments ago. He had a Sharpie in his hand. He said he used it this morning to get the only red off that car. He Sharpied in a little bit of a hinge. He said it has to look good because this car is going to Daytona, USA.
Joe Moore and Barney Hall, if you've got an FL receiver.
43 drivers, America's best. 1 from Australia, 1 from Colombia, ready to go in the Great American Race. What are they thinking this morning as they get ready for the green flag next time by?
This is the ultimate race. This is the Daytona 500. You recognize that because of the hype, the excitement, the energy that you sense from the garage area to the grandstands.
You know, a lot of teams put a lot of effort in this, a lot of money, a lot of testing time, a lot of midnight oil being burned back at the shop to make sure when these cars show up here for the Daytona 500, you have them as slick, as lean, as light, and as much horsepower as you can put in them to try to have a chance to win the Daytona 500.
In the 500, there's always a big transition from the beginning of the race and to the middle of the race and to the end, and you know, it'll go from light to dark, and the track will gain more grip. So there's a lot of things that happen.
This race is such an historic race. It means so much to the drivers and the teams and the sponsors to win this race. You know, when you get 25 to go, 30 to go, it picks up. And historically, we get a lot of cautions, and the heart rate goes way up, the intensity goes way up, and it starts to get pretty wild.
Whether you're dealing with the devastation, the frustration, or the excitement of what it's like to win it, you know this is the Daytona 500.
The front of the field looks like 1969. Coincidentally, that was the last year a Camaro paced the race. And driving this one as Digger looks on, award-winning actor Tom Cruise, who got a chance to relive his days of thunder. Rick Hendrick provided one of those cars for him to take some laps in here this morning. Tom Cruise will lead him down, and the man in the blue shirt, Bobby Allison, 3-time winner of the race.
Well, DW, to start off this 2009 season and our 9th season of NASCAR on Fox, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Green flag is in the flagman's hand. She's waving, Bobby Allison waving a flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., who for the first time in 11 Daytona 500 starts outside the top 10, 17th.
And believe it or not, in that very first corner, 1 and 2 down there, you can already tell what kind of car you got. At least you know that you got a good one or you got one you got to work on.
Who will lead the first lap of the 500?
This is the start of the 500, but it's also the start of the season. Martin Truex Jr. will lead lap 1, 5 bonus points for leading a lap.
Here comes that outside line. They got a lot of push in the outside. They got the push.
Now NASCAR has told the teams as Mark Martin takes the lead that at lap 25 they will throw a competition yellow due to the rains this morning so that the teams can check chassis and check tire wear.
And what's interesting about that competition caution is to keep someone from maybe pitting before that and not pitting on lap 25, you cannot fuel the car until that lap 25.
That's Robbie Gordon in the 7 and Casey Mears, who is new to the black 07, coming up the inside. 50-year-old Mark Martin trying to win the Daytona 500 for his first time in more than 25 trips. He's the leader of lap 2. Kyle Busch. We call him Wild Thing, and if you've seen this young fella race, you'll know why. He nearly won the truck race Friday night. He nearly won the nationwide race yesterday. He got a victory Thursday in his Gatorade dual race to qualify for the 500, and he wants this one.
If Kyle Busch is racing in a race, I'll buy a ticket to go watch him. That's how good he is.
What'd you say? He can run 3 wide by
All
himself.
by himself. Just give him a little room. Not even a lot of room.
3 different laps, 3 different leaders. Kyle Busch's Toyota brings them to the line.
His teammate Denny Hamlin in that 11 car, he's bringing that outside along with Bobby Labonte in that Ask.com 96 car on the outside.
Hey, that outside line looks like it's pretty fast, but if those 2 cars in front right now, Kyle Busch and Mark Martin, they're going to be hard to overtake.
There you go. Stick with it here. We'll get him there.
Jeff Gordon slices to the inside of his teammate, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and moves the number 24 up a spot, up to 7th.
You know, it just takes so much confidence in every aspect of your race car. You also in NASCAR, they had to drive the track this morning. We've had rain. Here these guys are running wide open around this 2.5-mile speedway.
Look at that grandstand. Every single seat sold out. It took till last evening, but they sold them all. Just walk-up infield tickets available today.
And that infield is pretty full as well.
Mid-pack, middle lane, in yellow and red, Kevin Harvick in the 29. Kevin is the master of where did he come from?
Yeah.
As he did 2 years ago to win the Daytona 500. Slicing up the middle.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to my right. I'm stuck in the middle, but I'm going forward.
But just remember, he started back in the 38th position. In less than 5 laps, he has made his way up inside the top 20 to 19th and getting more before we complete this lap.
We suspected just a little bit that when he rubbed the wall in practice in his primary car, that maybe he didn't like that car as much as the one in which he won the Budweiser shootout last Saturday night. So they rubbed up the right side of the primary car. They told NASCAR, oh, we have to go to a backup. And NASCAR approved it. And I think that's the piece Harvick wanted for today. That's the one he's in, Matt.
Mike, they made some big gains in practice trying to get the feel for Harvick. Harvick did say he felt like this car not quite as fast as the Budweiser shootout car, but we're going to hear it all day and all night. Handling the key. They felt like this car would handle so much better as this racetrack changed throughout the day.
Tell you another car on the move, just a few cars behind Kevin Harvick in that 29. Matt Kenseth, the 2003 Sprint Cup Series champion in the 17. That's a backup car from Matt. He started back in the 43rd position. He has made his way to 21st in just 6 laps.
Inside Casey Kane's car right here, he is really having a problem. You hear him playing with the throttle? He should be running this car wide open right now, and he's milking that thing.
And if he's having to do that here on lap 6, he could be in trouble by about lap 20.
I'm afraid so, Larry.
Now teammates having to start in the back, Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, and that's where they are in backup cars, untested, 41st and 42nd right now.
There may be a method to their madness. They may be staying out of harm's way right now.
Well, that's the whole thing. We got 490 miles to go here, and you don't want to get knocked out before you can get your water hot.
Saw Brian Vickers in that 83 Toyota there. He's been awfully strong all week. Brian started back in the 6th position. He was up there inside the top 5 a couple laps ago. He's now been kicked back to 12th. That'll happen all day long. You're going to go forward. You're going to go backwards. It's the way the draft works.
Yeah, with that comer and goer thing, you know, we talked about in the pre-race show. Got a smoker down on the apron coming up on the track. And
Almirola. Eric Almirola spins and gets out of harm's way, it looks like. One of the Earnhardt Ganassi cars. And we're under caution for the first time today.
Keep me posted here. No fuel. I want to change tires right now.
Oh, boy. He tried to stay off Jamie McMurray. Reagan got in him.
Reagan's done that a couple of times this week.
When that happens right in front of about a third of the field, you're mighty lucky when that's all you end up having to do is change tires.
Uh-oh, look out, look out.
Digger never saw him coming.
He heard him coming. He'll get better. Digger will get better. He's new on the job.
Alpha 2, got a lot of time.
I think with only 8 laps in the books, we'll see a variety of strategy here. And I think one reason we'll see a variety of strategies is we know we're going to get that caution at lap 25. Now, nobody will fuel their cars. I get a feeling we'll have some guys jump in there and change 4 tires, but we may possibly see some just right side tire changes only.
Yeah, we've had a little tire issue, so maybe you want to come down with 10 laps on your tires and just see if everything's okay, so you kind of have an idea what to do next time in.
And the only issues we've really had has been with the right side tires.
Exactly.
Let's take one more look and watch Jamie McMurray in the 26, because sometimes things happen just a little further back. Now there's McMurray in purple and yellow. It looked to me like Almirola had to lift to let McMurray in, and got bumped from behind.
It could have very well happened that way. It looked like McMurray was going to make a pass below the yellow line. He had to get back behind the car he almost passed. That could have created a little bit of an issue there.
And as anticipated, we've got a lot of cars that stayed out, but we've got several that's hit pit road.
Montoya stopping short in his box. 2 tires will be the call for JPM. And he's away, Steve.
Well, Matt, 4 tires for Jeff Gordon is the call here. No other adjustments on his Chevrolet. Krista.
Martin Truex and his team are in. They're surprised there were not more takers. A 2-tire stop for Martin.
Looks like we maybe had about 12, 14 cars stayed out.
Hamlin beat Rudeman for the first one off pit road, but of course there were quite a number of drivers who chose not to stop.
Well, that's tough when you got a 2-tire stop like that. You're coming back out in the traffic coming in. Surprised we didn't have more trouble, because we had a mess here in the qualifiers.
Carl Edwards hard at work.
That poor duck's going to be in for a tough year.
What are the 3 winningest car numbers in Daytona 500 history? Not just the Daytona 500. That's our Aflac trivia question. We'll give you some time to ponder that one.
Tough year from a Duck's perspective.
Yes.
He's going to be along for some exciting rides.
First of those numbers ought to be pretty easy if you've been paying attention through the years.
No kidding.
Ten laps complete. Lights are out on top of the safety car. So we'll look for the green flag this time by. Now we do still expect the competition yellow at lap 25.
But you know, even after only about 7 laps on those tires, I'm sure even the teams that stayed out, they were going to teammates and other teams that pitted just to take a look at those right side tires.
That's good information. Even for later in the day, that's good information. What kind of buildup do you get in those number of laps? That's a good thing to know.
Kyle Busch driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Had 21 wins last year in NASCAR's top 3 series. 8 in Sprint Cup, 10 in the Nationwide Series, and 3 in what's now the Camping World Truck Series. He leads the field. We're back under green.
Well, just think about Kyle. He's picking up right where he left off, Mike. I mean, he could easily have won 3 events already down here. He had second in the trucks and almost won that thing yesterday. Won his qualifying race. Should have won the race, could have won the race last year here, the 500.
Top line got a good run off turn 2. It made Carl Edwards in the 99 jumped up there in front of him.
Krista, why did Kyle Busch not pit?
He wanted track position, Mike, but the funny thing is, a few laps earlier, he talked about a vibration. He said, boys, the same thing we had in practice, it's back. Steve Addington, the crew chief, said, let's come in and get a new set. Kyle said, no, I want to keep my track position. I want to stay out front.
Yeah, I don't think it's tires. They thought it was a harmonic in maybe the headers or the drivetrain or something. He might be just knowing it's the same thing he felt in practice, giving that information to the team.
Mark Martin is second, and Bobby Labonte, who a couple of months ago didn't have a ride for this season, is sitting there third in that Yates Ford, or Yates rather Hall of Fame Racing Ford from with an alliance with Yates Racing. Well, and he's got a new lease on life right here.
Ask and you shall receive.
You know, one of the more feel-good stories, Mike, you talked about it in the starting lineup, as I'm looking at that outside line that Carl Edwards is bringing along that 99 car, is Scott Riggs in that 36 car. Scott, a little over a month ago, did not even have a ride. His owner of this car, Tommy Baldwin, who was the winning crew chief for this race back in 2002, put this team together. They came down here, and here they are. They're qualified for the Daytona 500, running up in the top 10.
Kyle Busch, your leader in the Great American Race, 12 of 200 laps completed. "16 laps complete. Kyle Busch still your leader. The top dozen cars right now single file. That's through about Jimmie Johnson. Winning his car number, of course. Richard Petty's won this race 7 times, always in the number 43. Number 28 has 5 victories, and number 21, 4. Moments ago, mid-pack, Scott Riggs right behind Jeff Gordon, who makes a move to the inside on Casey Kane here. Trying to catch the front pack. Have a look on the lower right. Watch the 36 of Riggs.
That's the white car right back here behind Jeff Gordon. Watch this baby. Goodbye. No.
Just remember that sideways is about 185, 186 miles per hour.
Here's Jimmie Johnson's view of all that.
Outside only, outside only, outside only.
And that really stacked up and split this field into 2 packs of cars.
Now watch this. What do you think he's telling him, Larry?
Well, let's see. There's 2, 4, and that would be the 2-4 car that was right in front of him. I don't know if he's trying to tell him, hey, I had to check up or I was going to get into the 24 car and then I got loose.
Steve Burns has more.
Mike, you used the expression stacked up. That's exactly what Kurt Busch said from inside his number 2 car. He said, I stacked those guys all up because I don't have any speed.
Now, talking about the 2-4 car, Jeff Gordon, right now, that's the highest running car that made that pit stop back on lap 8. He has made his way back up to the 6th position. We had about 19 cars that did not pit. Gordon is the highest of the cars that did pit.
We do know the caution will come out at lap 25 for the competition yellow, and everybody should be into the pits then.
You know, if I was running 9th, I don't think I'd talk too badly about my race car this early in the day. Got enough speed to keep up with that group.
And last year, Kurt Busch's car wasn't all that fast through the race. Where'd he finish? Right on his teammates' bumper. 1-2, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, first and second. We'll update our pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr., when we come back. You're watching the Daytona 500. This is NASCAR on Fox.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Hamburger Helper, proud sponsor of the Clint Boyer number 33 car. By Watchman from the Visionary Director 300, opens everywhere March 6th. By Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. And by the all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150.
Kyle Busch leads, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. has taken second, as you see from our aerial coverage, brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Jr. to second, Carl Edwards to third, and in just about 2 laps, we expect to see that competition yellow for teams to check tire wear due to the extensive rain this morning.
I really think the Hendrick guys are trying to get grouped up. You've got Dale up there, Dale Jr., and then you got Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon not too far behind. I think they're really trying to get a little something going here.
Here behind Terry Labonte is our pole sitter, Martin Truex.
Yeah, I'm not totally surprised at this. He was one of the cars that made that pit stop back on lap 9. We talked to him in yesterday's practice. He was not happy with that race car, and it's not performing very well right now here as we're approaching lap 24.
Truex in the number 1, 34th driver in the history of the Daytona 500 to win the pole position.
Now here's a guy on the move going the right way, though. Tony Stewart, we talked about him in the pre-race. We talked about him at the start of the race in this 14 car. He started back in 37th position. He has made his way to the 14th spot working toward the top 10. And remember, this guy drove for Joe Gibbs Racing for 10 years, 2 championships, 30-something wins, went off on his own to form Stewart Haas Racing, and this is that backup car, but it's the car he ran in the Budweiser shootout last week.
Since coming to Sprint Cup from the Indy Racing League, he's never had a car owner other than Joe Gibbs, and never had anybody on the pit box other than Greg Zipadelli until today.
Yeah, he and Darian Grubb, I think that's a good combination. And I'm watching his car, Mike, Larry, and it looks good through the bumps. It's got the nose down and the front staying down. The back's hopping up a little bit, but the thing looks good through the bumps, and that's critical.
We anticipate that we will see that caution here just directly as we have completed lap 25.
Been watching Jeff Gordon as we are probably coming here to get the caution. Jeff Gordon's working the high side, and I think he was trying to get in the lead before the caution came out.
Caution is out. It's the competition yellow we spoke of that NASCAR will do from time to time when the weather greatly changes track conditions after the final practice. Now look at the bottom of the racetrack, the double yellow line. That is new this year and only at Daytona and Talladega. Below that line is out of bounds, no passing. If you advance your position and you're below that yellow line, you will be penalized by NASCAR. And they went to the double yellow line to differentiate Daytona and Talladega from the other NASCAR tracks where the yellow line is just a marker and is not an out of bounds line.
Now this competition caution, it's the good news, bad news. If your car is not driving good, it gives you an opportunity to come to pit road. It gives everyone an opportunity to look at their tires. But the bad news is 43 cars on pit road at one time, and that's going to be very congested.
For today's UPS Maximum Performance, we're going back 30 years to the day of the first 500-mile race to be televised on live TV, and here's the last lap. Cale Yarborough dropped to the inside of Bobby Allison. Allison came down to block. They entered turn 3 at an impossible angle and crashed. Half a lap from the finish line. From turn 2, Richard Petty held the lead over Darrell Waltrip and A.J. Foyt. And when Bobby Allison stopped to help his brother Donnie down in turn 3 in the infield, a fight broke out as millions watched. NASCAR that day rose to a popularity level it had never before seen. And the race has been live flag to flag on network television ever since. That's our UPS Maximum Performance. UPS, what can Brown do for you?
Mike, I was sitting there and I had Richard Petty in front of me and I had A.J. Foyt behind me. I thought, man, I'm going to make a little history today running right in between these two guys. That's a great finish for ODW. Next thing I know, wreck.
We'll have to get maximum performance from these pit crews for any of these drivers to win the race today. They're headed for pit road. Matt.
Carl Edwards, a long conversation with his crew chief Bob Osborne. Originally, they were just going to make a small air pressure change in the left side because the car just a little bit on the tight side, and then they were throwing around the idea of making a chassis adjustment as well. We'll see if they go ahead. They definitely do. They make the wedge adjustment on the 99. Dick?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. stops perfectly in his box. That was a question because of the preliminary race on Thursday. He overshot it on 2 occasions. Steve.
Mark Martin says he's a little tight. She's got to push to make an air pressure adjustment and chassis. Krista.
The wild thing is extremely calm. He got on the radio and said one simple line: the car drives great.
And he's the first one off pit road. Kyle Busch leads Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, and Jeff Gordon. Second caution of the day in Daytona. Getting ready for the restart in the Daytona 500. Greg Biffle led a lap under caution before he made his pit stop, so he'll restart out back. Kyle Busch in front, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, and Tony Stewart has come from 37th to 9th place.
Ole, 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 ole. Yeah, there's everything else to do.
Things must be working well.
He must be a happy boy.
And I'm going to tell you, that's an owner that has seen 4 or 5 cars get torn up this week.
He's one of our drivers who have traded paint for 2009, racing for a different team, maybe the same owner in the case of Clint Boyer, but a different paint job, sponsor, and number than they had last year.
You know when drivers worry about that? When they say we don't have any more.
Joey Logano stayed out with Biffle and stopped the lap after everybody else. They thought they could get 5 points for leading a lap. Didn't quite happen. And so he'll start out back with Biffle.
All passing to the right on the restarts. That's why you come down here right out next to the outside wall. Don't want to leave any room for somebody to squeeze between you and that outside wall. But once you cross the start-finish line, then it's free-for-all.
Game on.
Game on.
You know, you saw the piece that Jeff Hammond did in the pre-race about pit stops and lug nuts. Jamie McMurray in that 26 car, who had worked his way up into the top 10, they had one lug nut fall off, and he lost 9 spots on those pit stops.
Wow.
It just goes to show it's the little things. It's the little things that drive you crazy.
You want to win this race? Execute the basics flawlessly.
That's it.
And then, as Richard Petty often said, circumstances will dictate the outcome.
I mean, the competition on pit road is about as keen or tougher than the competition on the racetrack. Same thing happened to Denny Hamlin in the 11 car on that stop.
Yeah, I really hope they don't ever go to this deal where they think they're going to limit things that you can do. I like the pit stops the way they are, and I know the fans do too. They love to see the cars in the pits.
You know what else the fans love? Crank it up.
Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin. And problems for Jeremy Mayfield. This is his race car and a team he put together 3.5 weeks ago. Thought he might have a vibration. And as of yesterday, nobody on this team had gotten their first paycheck. That's how new this team is, but they'll bank at least or nearly $250,000 for starting this race and hope they can get back in it.
Yeah, it's a team that plans on running the entire schedule.
Preparation, you know, they obviously have been under a lot of pressure to get this car down here, get it prepared to race, getting it in the race, and then I've got to believe those guys are worn out from just getting into the race. So mistakes are not uncommon when you're in that kind of stress.
The super teams of NASCAR occupy the first 8 positions right now. A Joe Gibbs Toyota out in front of 4 Rick Hendrick cars, then 2 of the Roush Fenway Fords. And then Denny Hamlin, Mark Martin.
We talked about him a while ago, though. That car 4th in line on the outside, now 5th in line. Matt Kenseth in the 17 car started all the way back dead last. 43rd. He has worked his way to the top 5.
I'm talking about big boys.
Junior sliced to the bottom there in 2nd place to hold back Kenseth. Now goes back up to the top side in the green and white 88.
Yeah, Burton, I mean, there's a great run from the back also for him. Childress's cars never qualify all that great, but man, when they drop the green flag there, they come alive.
24 here. There you go. Still be able to make something of this still.
Yeah, Jeff Burton in that 31 car started in the 26th position.
You come down here so many times, Larry, you know this. So many preliminary events, so much time on the racetrack that sometimes by the time you get ready to run the 500, you're exhausted.
That's exactly right.
You've lost your fire. Somebody needs to, you know, light it back up for you.
Kyle Busch has led 32 of 34 laps so far. He's not greedy. He just wants to lead them all.
Stay tuned for more NASCAR on Fox.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
Robbie Gordon made a pit stop while we were away for a cut tire, so he and Jeremy Mayfield are 1 lap down. 41 cars are on the lead lap. And much like last year, Kyle Busch wants to command this race. He has led 36 of 38 laps.
Yeah, he led the most laps in last year's Daytona 500 and came up short on that pass on the back straightaway, ended up finishing 4th.
He's getting ready to be overtaken, I think, by Dale Jr. here. Dale Jr. got a nice push up on the outside there from Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. I think they're going to be able to clear him. Well, maybe not.
I think the crowd will let you know who's fighting.
Now you saw Kyle Busch pull up and get a little side draft off Dale Jr., which stalled Jr.'s car in the draft and let Kyle lead that lap. File that one in your pocket for late in the race. I would be surprised if you didn't see it again.
Well, the lines that they're running, the 18 on the bottom like that and the 88 up on the high side, Dale Jr. loves to sail that thing on the turn on the high side.
In the restrictor plate races at NASCAR's 2 biggest, fastest tracks, Daytona and Talladega, Kyle Busch last year won 2 of the 4 and scored more points than anyone did in those 4 races.
And this is difficult racing right here. When you've got cars all around you like this, a car on your outside, it really upsets the air. And that car on the outside can make that one on the inside just turn around just all by itself. I mean, just sucks it around.
And right now, the only help that Kyle Busch has pushing him is the 3 Roush Fenway cars there. Matt Kenseth in the 17, David Reagan in the 6, Carl Edwards in the 99.
But Larry, I'll tell you, when you look at that 18 car, Kyle Busch can't pass him. I mean, they got up there, but they haven't been able to pass him. And he's been able to hold those guys off by himself almost. Now that Matt's there behind him, that'll help.
Clear, he's not.
Second place car for an instant at least, Matt Kenseth in that number 17. Matt.
Mike Kenseth, like Kevin Harvick, racing a backup car in the 500. In fact, at driver intros, Jamie McMurray, Kenseth's teammate, was commenting about how much Kenseth's car looked more stable and faster in general in the draft during Saturday's final practice. Kenseth saying the car a little bit on the tighter side. They made an air pressure adjustment on his last stop.
And you know what was interesting about the information that Kyle Busch's spotter gave him just a minute ago? You're clear, he's not. What he was telling him is his drafting partner, Matt Kenseth, behind him had not cleared Dale Earnhardt Jr. down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Kyle's got an awesome spotter. I mean, if you listen to him in any of these races, Kyle will give him credit. He says he drives the car. I just go where he tells me to.
Now, Busch pulls up to the high side to pick up Dale Jr. Let's amp up and go for a ride with Dale Jr. in the 88.
What's he looking like in there, DW?
Well, I tell you, he looks happy. And I'll tell you what I like. Watch his eyes. He keeps them flashing up in the mirror to be sure where everybody behind him is. He's got Matt. You can see out the window over there. He's got Matt right under him. But what I like is that car is very stable. He's not fighting the wheel. He's just looking around, seeing where everybody is. He's watching who's got the push, who's coming, and what I need to be watching out for. And as long as you can keep turning left like that, you're going to have a good car and you're going to be happy.
He has Kyle Busch's teammate behind him, Denny Hamlin, in that 11 car. Then Kyle Busch jumped up in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88.
Kyle just goes wherever the fast guy is.
But that's a bit of a dodgy move when they come out of 4 and they're headed for the start-finish line, because the spotters are up on the top of the grandstand right above our position. All they can see is the noses of the cars, and it's very hard for the spotter to clear that driver when he comes off 4. Jeff Burton, the 31, backing up a bit there.
Yeah, he got way up high off 2 over there. Almost got in the wall.
48 pushing.
See, Larry, it's just as important for the spotter to understand the draft and how it works and what the effects are as it is for the driver to understand what they are and what's going on.
Yeah, and I think his spotter has so much experience working with him. I think he absolutely understands that.
Well, he knows that Kyle, if he tells him to go low or go high, he knows he can do it instantly. He can swap lanes faster than anybody I ever saw.
Agree. Look on the lower right at the lead car, the number 18 of Kyle Busch. This is coming out of turn 4.
And you're right, Mike, because the spotter has the exact view that we're showing the replay right there. So how can you say clear? He's pretty much on his own when he makes that move right there.
A little bit of a leap of faith.
Hi there, that 41.
Experience. You got a good spotter. He's been there. He's seen the hole. He knows what's happening.
Here, still outside, still outside. All clear.
And the same is true going away from the start-finish line down toward turn 1 where they're at now. That's tough for a spotter to make a close call there.
Hey, what's happened to Denny Hamlin? He was 3rd a lap ago, but Hamlin has now dropped back to 9th and is sliding a little further back.
The old handling package might have fallen out, you know. Maybe the car's going away on this run.
Well, we're almost 20 laps into this run, so we're getting close to that halfway of a fuel run here. So this is definitely when handling problems will start to show up, starting to burn that fuel load off, and tires are starting to slide.
45 laps complete, an 8-car freight train at the front of this field. Kyle Busch continues to lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth are your front 5 at 49 laps, 122 miles. Joey Logano, one of 5 drivers starting their first Daytona 500, one of 2 announced rookie candidates. The other, Scott Speed, is 32nd. Logano right now is 39th. And as you see on the right, 2 weeks ago he shot his first commercial at the Cornelius, North Carolina Home Depot, and then came to Daytona and attended his first Daytona 500 drivers meeting and driver introduction. Now, they were among the last to pit during the competition yellow, so they're riding out back, kind of out of harm's way, feeling things along as we come to 50 laps, 125 miles.
Now, the guy that drove that Home Depot car for 10 years, how about Tony Stewart in that 14 car? Remember, this is a backup car. They crashed into practice yesterday when his teammate Ryan Newman lost a right rear tire going through 1 and 2. Started back in 37th in this car. He ran 3rd in the Budweiser shootout. And Krista, he has made his way to the top 5.
Tony Stewart looking very sporty, and those were his words back on lap 25. What he just said 1 lap ago, quote, "I have the best handling car out here. It's just not the fastest."
Sometimes they don't go hand in hand. I mean, sometimes you got to give up a little something to get something. Give me the handle. When I got Tony Stewart behind the wheel, just give me the handle. He can do the rest.
Lapping past Terry Labonte, who will be the 4th car in this race to go 1 lap down. John Andretti has also made an unscheduled pit stop and is 1 lap back. Time for a question from Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. What was the largest starting field in the history of the Daytona 500?
We're not going to tell you. You have to go to Ask.com.
You can also, while you're there, you can enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge and win daily prizes. Ask.com.
On the bottom, but I got no draft, you know.
Official search engine of NASCAR.
Boy, and they got a lot of stuff planned too, Ask does. They're really going to be a big player in this sport, and they're going to do a lot of things fans are going to love, I believe.
Now, Bobby Labonte, he has fallen back to the 29th position, started in the 12th spot, ran up there in the top 10. It's like they somewhat got jumbled up after that last pit stop back on last on pit road, lap 27.
You know, we were talking about Joey Logano there a little bit ago, what he's been through. They came in late. They were last ones to pit on that last caution. And, oh, we got a battle for the lead here. Here goes Junebug by Kyle Busch, bringing semi-teammate with him. These two guys love to work together. Tony Stewart and the 14, Dale Jr., they love to work together.
Yes, they do.
Third lead change of the day. And the fan favorite by a wide margin and perennial winner of NASCAR's most popular driver award, as Bill Elliott was before him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. front of the field.
I think a few of them been sitting on those green hats, but they all came up in the air then.
And you know, I know this is the first race of 2009. Look at them waving. They're standing on their feet all the way down the back straightaway. But Darrell said it in the pre-race. I just think the second year of Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Hendrick Motorsports is a pivotal year. And how about Tony Stewart? He wants to lead at this 500, that 14.
I don't know if he wants that 18 behind him, though, after yesterday in the nationwide race. Kyle pushed Tony all the way through 3 and 4 trying to get around him. Couldn't quite do it.
The Daytona 500.
Yes, I am.
It's the spotter, Bob Jeffries.
Back to the front, left 5.
Travis Kvapil has hit the wall in his Yates Racing Ford.
That's got tar written all over it.
Got the right front locked up. Right front is locked up. Damage on the right front fender, guys.
Caution's out for the third time today. The Janesville, Wisconsin driver who time trialed his way into the field has brought out the third caution flag.
Daytona 500 Odd Fox is sponsored by Amp Energy. Amp up.
Pit stops under caution. Here's Matt.
Carl Edwards points the car just like the last stop for easy exit. He said the car way too loose to run the bottom. Small air pressure change in the right rear for the 99. Steve.
Matt, Jeff Gordon concerned about a vibration. He also is thinking they're working the right front tire too hard. Let's go to Krista.
It's a 4-tire change for Tony Stewart. He said the only thing he's missing just the ability to suck up a little better. Meanwhile, up front, Kyle Busch, he said his car's very good, just a little tight, but no adjustments. He said his tires feel good even on the long run.
And a big miscue for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He is pitted just past the start-finish line. It appears he could not get into his pit and will have to go around and come back in for service.
And he will have to come back in. And there you see he peels off in the third position, coming down the pit road, following Kyle Busch in the 18 car. Now he should be about 10 pits away right there. And there you see, he knew immediately. And I can't help but think to Jeff Hammond's keys to this race. Don't beat yourself, especially on pit road.
You know, I don't understand this. He's had trouble in the pits in the qualifying race, had trouble in the pits today. I'm not sure what's going on.
Let's go downstairs for an AT&T race break.
Well, Jeff, you said don't beat yourself, talking about some of the points, the keys going into this race, and that was one of those cases.
That's one of those cases. Just you can't win a Daytona 500 if you start making those kind of mistakes, and that's one that could come back to haunt him.
How about the speed of this race so far? What have you noticed?
Up until this caution flag right here, we were on a record pace, 161 miles an hour average laps. I mean, they were really getting up there, and again, you don't normally see that. I think with the last 4 races have been nowhere near as close as this.
Is weather a part of that?
I think so. I think a lot of these guys realize that we might be fighting with some weather, so they want to keep their nose clean and just try to get out there and put some laps down. And remember, the Daytona 500 the previous 2 years has been settled on the last lap, not at the halfway point.
All right, let's take a look at Junior as he goes into the stall here.
Yeah, he gets on and hits his mark that time. But again, this team of his right now know that they're going to wind up at the back of the pack, Chris. And this is what you don't want. A little bit of a problem right there on the right rear. But the main thing is he's got to fight his way through the pack, and he don't need to be doing that.
Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
Well, he just plain missed his pit. Simple as that. And he's going to be in the back, as you said. They've also got some problems with the car. The engine is running a bit hot. They're at 230 degrees and climbing just a little bit. They did adjust the chassis to try to take a push out of it. Chris?
All right, Dick, let's show you what brought the caution out moments ago.
Travis Kvapil on the high side right there. He comes in, and all of a sudden you'll see the car, just a little bit of a puff of smoke, and you see the car almost drop down a little bit on the right front, right there, and all of a sudden up into the outside safer barrier he goes. Another angle, different place here. You see again, hard lick on that outside safer barrier. But again, you know, that's the beautiful thing about having that safer barrier there. It could have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for those safer barriers.
Amazing he could even drive it after that to at least get it through the track. Each week, voice your opinion on who you think should win the AT&T Fastest and Most Valuable Pit Crew of the Year award from your AT&T phone. Text the car number of the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, your world delivered. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By the Home Depot, proud sponsor of Joey Logano and the number 20 team. And by Aflac, ask about it at work.
Getting ready for a restart in front of a packed house at Daytona International Speedway. Terry Labonte got the free pass. He was the first car one lap down. Sam Hornish led a lap under caution. And with Tony Stewart out front of Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon, we're back under green.
And we have 39 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had that miscue on that pit stop right there, missed his pit box. He restarts back in 35th position. Give a call out to that car running 5th right there. A.J. Allmendinger in that 44 car finished 5th in the Budweiser shootout Saturday night a week ago. Wasn't even sure if he was going to have a ride a couple of months ago, and here he is running in the top 5. And I think this is actually his very first Daytona 500 start.
It is, Larry. That car is painted just like the Dodge Magnum that Kyle Petty drove in his very first professional race, the ARCA 200 here in 1979, which Kyle won.
Boy, I tell you what, speaking of Kyle Busch just cut his car to the bottom and is going to drive right up alongside of Tony Stewart. And he's doing it without any help. I mean, that's what I noticed about his car. He can run pretty fast without a lot of help.
Steve Burns is in Jeff Gordon's pit.
Well, Mike, Jeff Gordon expressed some concern about wearing out his right front tire. I asked the car chief, Jason Burdett, if he shared that concern. He said, take a look at the tire yourself. This is the right front off Jeff Gordon's car, and you can see down to the cords right there, a little bit further down. So that's what's happening here on pit road.
Now, when I look at that tire, that is sort of a camber issue. That's on the inside of the tire where the tire's leaned in to make the car turn better. You ride on that very long and you're going to be in trouble.
But the concern there, that was a 24-lap green flag run, and that's still about 18 to 20 laps shy of what we know these guys can run on fuel.
And you can't change that camber without pulling the car out of the race, going behind the wall to make that adjustment. Jamie McMurray, number 26 on the outside, has pulled that outside lane along, and he got almost right up to Jeff Gordon at second place. Now he has a little help, if you want to call it that, from Denny Hamlin.
Kind of my dark horse pick of the race, if you want to call him that. Jamie McMurray. He's had a great speed weeks. Even though he's in a backup car, he likes that car better than he did the car he started the weekend with.
And you know, even though Larry Carter did a great job with Jamie McMurray the last couple of years, I just think Donnie Wingo and Jamie McMurray, Donnie that's over there now, they just really complement each other.
I believe you're right. Good chemistry.
Jeff Gordon drops back to the bottom. Here comes Hamlin up the middle in the number 11.
Now, that camber thing we'll get back to in just a second. You could help that with a little air pressure, I believe. You could get that car off of the inside of that tire if you put a little more air in that right front, possibly. But then it won't turn.
Right.
That's what you fight.
Because normally when you hurt that tire is when you first put it on the car down on lower air pressure.
Hamlin pulls up behind his ex-teammate Tony Stewart as Kyle Busch goes up to the outside. And here are your Toyota top performers.
Kyle Busch will slide up in front of a car in a heartbeat.
But it normally fits. It's normally just exactly the right size. I don't know how he does it.
Well, if he was sliding up in front of you, would you let it fit?
I'd be sure he got in.
Right.
You know, a guy that we had talked about that really made a move from the back to the front early in the race, Kevin Harvick in that 29 car in a backup car, the car he won the Budweiser shootout. Started back in 38th. He has made his way to the top 10 early in the race, but now Matt, he has fallen all the way back to almost the last car on the lead lap.
Larry, Matt, going in, they felt like the shootout car would handle so much better, it would be slower. And the problem is, it really is slower. He says the car is bogging down in the corners. They made a track bar adjustment earlier to try to free it up. Now he says after pitting twice into the last caution for a spring rubber change, he says the car just will not keep up. He has to have someone pushing him to stay in the draft, and he's definitely lost that lead pack.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a little bit of trouble right now, but isn't it amazing? 64 laps into this 200-lap race, and we basically got about 33 cars running within 3 seconds of each other.
Pretty much looks like we just started.
Get in that hole.
He's learned to look over his shoulder.
Jeff Gordon trying to lead for the first time today. Comes around the outside of Tony Stewart. But as they get to the line, Stewart forges back in front.
But I got to tell you something, boys. If that 24 is lurking near the front like that, that's not a good sign for everybody else.
Got a pretty good push from Kyle Busch in that 18 going off into turn 1.
Jeff Gordon knows how to win Daytona. He knows how to win the big races.
We talked so much about that 14 car and Tony Stewart. We do need to make note that that's Hendrick engines and Hendrick cars that they're supplied with from Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, that alliance is what made Tony's deal really work well, I think. Rick Hendrick being involved in the equipment they have, it's all going to work out just fine. Thank you.
Tony Stewart continues to lead the Daytona 500, 66 laps complete.
This one's looking good. Stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Jamie McMurray led last time by, and now the Daytona 500 has a new leader, Jeff Gordon. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in high definition. Let's show you the lead change that occurred a lap ago.
Look at that bump that Kyle Busch put on that 24 car and just shot him up into the lead.
Meanwhile, Michael Waltrip had an issue. He's on the inside right there as,
oh my goodness,
Clint Boyer and Michael all but locked bumpers in the backstretch.
Yeah, I think that's when you try to throw a block, Larry, and you lose control of your car.
Now, one thing we need to make clear, Mike, you talked extensively about that double yellow line, that you can't go below that double yellow line and make a pass. As long as you don't gain a position, or if you do, if you give it back, no harm, no foul. Ryan Newman in the 39 car, he's on pit road with that backup car.
Changing tires like they may have something going on there. He's probably a little gun shy about the tires.
Yeah, we just saw Boyer's 33 do another slice and dice to the bottom of the racetrack. 15 weeks of NASCAR on Fox coming up next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, the Auto Club 500 out in suburban Los Angeles. Then we go to Las Vegas, and it's on.
Tires, confirm you got the blowers on.
Yeah, the 39 car is off the jack, Larry.
Krista?
More problems, as if it hasn't been a bad enough week here for the 39. The jack has fallen on the stop. They've got the entire crew on the left side trying to lift up the car to get the jack back underneath the 39. They're all saying on the radio, pick it up, pick it up. They're trying to get the jack back underneath the 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet.
Jack it up, jack it up, jack it up. Jack it up, jack it up.
That's Ryan, I believe, talking.
All right, let's go. They're all the way out.
Yeah, I'm sure this 39 Army team, Ryan Newman, they're going to be glad to get to the Auto Club Speedway next week.
They're going to need to be Army strong if they keep going like they've done down here.
Jamie McMurray has arguably been the best of the Fords in this race. He marched from 19th up to the lead.
Tight down to 1 and 2. Can't run the bottom, Jamie, just for your information.
His teammate Matt Kenseth came from 43rd on the grid to the top 5. There they are, the 2 Roush Fenway Fords.
I think he said Matt was having, did he say Matt was having trouble running the bottom?
Yeah, I almost think, and we'll maybe get a clarification, I almost think that was Carl Edwards telling Jamie McMurray, these drivers can talk to each other, that he can't run the bottom. That didn't sound like Matt. It almost sounded like Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing about when you've got that many teammates. They have a channel they can talk to each other.
Well, we're talking about the Hendrick guys getting grouped up. Looks to me like the Roush guys are getting grouped up now. McMurray, Kenseth, and Edwards right there.
Jeff Gordon out in front of the field. Steve's back to his pit.
And Mike, he just told crew chief Steve Letarte, this run is a whole lot better, and that's because I'm out in clean air.
Jeff Gordon loves clean air. I don't care where we go. If it's Martinsville, he's hunting the clean air.
But what he means by that is right now, without a car in front of him disturbing the air, he's getting maximum downforce on the nose. Maximum pressure on those front tires really helps the car to turn.
And that's terminology, clean air and aero push and all that stuff that years ago we never even knew. We didn't even think about.
It was there. We just didn't know it.
I can't turn my car.
Jamie McMurray right there amongst the front 4. Dick Berggren.
And Jamie would like to lead a lap, Mike. He said the car is better than it's been all day, but he's looking for some help to get out front. It's been a good car the whole time. Same car finished second in the shootout last Saturday night, but he's got nobody behind him to help push.
The front 4, Gordon, Busch, Hamlin, and McMurray. 76 laps complete in the Daytona 500. Trouble front straightaway. Joey Logano pounds the safer barrier at the inside of the entrance to pit road. And it's a hard hit for the 18-year-old from Middletown, Connecticut. He had been doing so well from the back. He'd climbed up to 27th position as of a lap ago, but something sent that car out of line and hard into the wall.
I'm going to tell you, that was a hard lick, but Mike, you mentioned it, safer barrier on the inside there coming into the tri-oval.
See what happens here. I got a feeling that
he tried to stay off of Scott Speed in the 82, and he drove down in front of Greg Biffle, but look at that, a hard lick there.
I love it that they finally put the safer barrier there. That used to be a dirt bank several years ago, and boy, it was worse than hitting a wall.
You would know. You hit that thing a ton. Wasn't it 4th of July race?
Yeah, no, it was in the 500 in 83.
And you know, no one did anything wrong there. Scott Speed got loose. Joey Logano tried to stay off of him. Greg Biffle in the 16 was right there.
This is going to hurt. Let's ride along with Joey Logano.
2-1.
Just a bump. Just a kiss.
But look how well contained he is in that car.
All right, bud. Yeah, I'm fine.
And he is.
There's a young man that will be glad to leave Daytona. He has had a rough 10 days down here.
Youngest driver ever to start the Daytona 500. Will not be 19 years old until May.
I just don't know if I can handle the pressure that he is under, Larry, at this time, and only 18 years old. There's
that seat opened because Tony Stewart was offered a 50% ownership in what was Haas Automation Racing. Offered it for no cash consideration. It was a career move that Stewart just could not afford to let go away. That opened the seat. They've had Joey on a development program. He won the Busch East Championship for Joe Gibbs Racing, and Joe Gibbs says if you have the talent, you can demonstrate you can win.
Yeah,
see if you're ready.
I think I've heard him say himself, though. It might be, I think I'm a year ahead of time. Got here a year earlier than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, the timing was just off by about a year.
Exactly. Good kid, good family.
And fortunately for him, this is just one race out of 36. So pit road will be open, and we were just about getting to the point in green flag racing where tire wear would become a concern. Let's see how they go. Matt?
Two concerns for Matt Kenseth. He was telling his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer, that the car from center exit just developed a really bad push. They were talking about making a track bar adjustment as well as air pressure to fix it. They're also concerned about weather, which is about 40 minutes away. Dick?
Jamie McMurray started 19th. He had worked his way all the way up to the 4th position. The car is so good. No changes to it, Steve.
Jeff Gordon said, man, I love that clean air. No adjustments to the 24, just 4 tires, Krista.
Couple of adjustments for the 11. 1 round of air pressure out of the left rear. And also for Kyle Busch, 4 tire change as well. And yes, Mother Nature may dictate this. Mike Ford told his 11 crew, we have to get out front.
There's the race off pit road. And Kyle Busch may have won that race off pit road. We'll have to look at which of those scoring lines is used. But when he shot out from his pits, Jeff Gordon had to tap the brake, and so did Denny Hamlin. Let's have a look at it right here.
Well, they're right. But I think the problem is the 24 is already gone.
We'll double check. Now fasten your seatbelts. Here's an in-race sneak peek of Watchman from the visionary director of 300. It opens everywhere March 6th.
Watchman looks like a great flick about superheroes. Don't miss it. Of course, the superstars of NASCAR nearing the halfway point. Time for an AT&T race break as NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to the 51st running of the Daytona 500. Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon flirting with the lead. And time now for a recap and our race break as Kyle Busch took the lead 4 laps in. Martin Truex Jr. started on the pole. Mark Martin on the outside. Busch, who led 50 laps and took the lead for the 5th straight time in a Daytona 500 race. He led the most laps in last year's race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., former Daytona 500 winner in 2004 with a 1-lap lead here. And then Travis Kvapil, tire problem.
Yeah, he had a right front tire go down, hits the outside safety barriers really hard, bringing out another caution. And during that caution period, Dale Earnhardt Jr., well, he misses his pit box and had to go all the way around. You can see right there, Tony Jr. was not one bit happy about that.
Junior currently 22nd, and Joey Logano with rookie Scott Speed. The rookies mix it up, and hard hit in Logano, the 18-year-old okay. But both rookies tangling like they did in the Budweiser shootout. So, Jeff, as we look at this point, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, in fact, all the Hendrick cars, with the exception of Jimmie Johnson, who's going for his 4th straight championship, have led so far as we near the halfway point.
Well, I think we're getting a pretty good idea of maybe how this thing's going to shape up toward the end. We know Kyle Busch is strong. We know Jeff Gordon is good. And don't forget Tony Stewart. But you mentioned Jimmie Johnson. Do not think for 1 minute that Chad Knaus has given up on getting this 48 car toward the front. He'll keep working on it, and in the end, they have their way about it. He'll be right in the thick of things.
From your AT&T phone, text the car number for the pit crew you think will be the fastest and most valuable in today's race to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award, delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network.
Thanks, Chris. I want to say a quick hello to Robbie Weiss, NASCAR's Vice President of Broadcasting, recuperating in a hospital after a stroke. They're going to move him to rehab next week, and the prognosis is very good. Robbie, we miss you. Let's get ready to race. 85 laps complete, and it is Kyle Busch in front of Jeff Gordon, 2 of the 3 odds-on favorites for the Daytona 500. Bring them down to the green flag. John Andretti got the free pass, so 38 cars are on the lead lap. And Busch comes down to the bottom as Ryan Newman is trying to get there with help from Denny Hamlin. Newman is 2 laps behind.
And the only car we have that's 1 lap down right now is Robbie Gordon in that 7 car.
Three of NASCAR's best drivers had inauspicious debuts in the 500. Buddy Baker finished 40th. Ernie Irvan 41st. Cale Yarborough 48th. Add Joey Logano to that list. He's been released from the care center. He's with Matt.
Mikey just walked up, and Joey, walk us through what happened on the racetrack with you.
It just looked like the 82 was loose in front of me, and I dropped down a lane underneath him, and as he kept slowing up, I eventually got underneath him. And you know, he checked up so much that the 16 got in the left rear, and it's one of those deals. It's a bummer for all the Home Depot guys. You know, make the big debut here in the 500, but not the way we wanted to end. Still feel like I learned a lot, but not what we wanted.
All right, thank you, Joey.
Thanks.
Still believe we're going to be hearing a lot out of that young man in the future.
Oh, he'll learn. He's a sharp kid. I've seen him race in ARCA and in the Nationwide Series. He'll learn. This is a tough old joint right here. You know, back in 1958 when Paul Goldsmith won the last race on the beach and they built this place has intimidated many a great driver, young and old.
Took Darrell 17 years to win this race. Took Dale Earnhardt 20 tries.
Side there.
Oh, things are getting dicey here.
Yes, they are. Look at them. 3 wide by about 5 rows, 6 rows.
That is an incredible pack behind the leaders. Golly. Front row starters, Martin Truex Jr. currently 9th, and Mark Martin in that bright yellow number 5, the 50-year-old sentimental favorite to win the 500 among many. In fact, Mark Martin's souvenir sales are in the top 5 of all drivers this week, and he's currently 6th. Krista.
Well, let's update you on our pole sitter. You know, after he won the pole, Martin Truex said this is the best car as far as speed goes that he's ever had at any plate track. He said he just needed it to get handling a little bit better, and handling is the trouble. Right now, Martin said he had no grip at all before that stop. Steve?
Well, Krista, Mark Martin is relating to Alan Gustafson. He said, I get too tight at the end of the run. We need to adjust the car to last longer and be there at the end.
And as we mentioned earlier, one reason the car will get tighter, meaning the front wheels won't turn as he turns the steering wheel, as you burn that fuel load off and it gains weight on the front tire.
Let me just tell you, I guess they're racing to halfway. I don't know.
That's it. Look at this snarling pack. The whole complexion of this race has changed because the weather has changed. If we reach 100 laps, that's the halfway point of the race. And if it's called any time from there on, it's an official race. And the payout is according to who's running where at the time the last caution flag, or the red flag, is waved, that is.
Yep.
So instead of racing to lap 200, we're racing to lap 100, and who knows how many laps after that.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll see. Race to 100 right here, then we'll come back down.
Larry, that changes everything.
Well, it does. I mean, you have to start thinking about strategy-wise and everything. We were last on pit road at lap 82. We know we can go well past the halfway to about lap 124 before we have to think about tires and fuel.
Here's another question from Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. Why was Lake Lloyd created in the infield of Daytona International Speedway? Just ask. Go to Ask.com for the answer. Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. This is a whole different race from what we saw in the first 60 laps.
Yeah, if they keep going like this, next thing we're going to hear is caution out. You okay?
Yeah, the only thing we're not seeing any different is that cat up there pulling him around this place. So Kyle Busch in that 18 car, and he has Ryan Newman stuck between he and his teammate Denny Hamlin in the 11. Ryan 2 laps down. But I tell you, you're right. What a comeback by Martin Truex Jr., our pole sitter, because he had fallen all the way back to about 30th, and it looks like they definitely have made that car better as he's back up in the top 5.
Well, with this car, with this restrictor plate package and this car, you're never out of the race. As long as you can stay on the lead lap, these cars make such a huge air pocket for you to run into that they'll suck you right back up into the race if you got a pretty good car.
Doing a great job, man. Disappointment. Newman's up there running second, but he's 2 or 3 laps down.
David Stremme, number 12 for Roger Penske. That's the team that won this race last year. He is 15th, and you're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who missed his pit stall on the last stop. Had to start tail end Charlie, and now Jr. moving back up into the top 15.
Yeah, he is. I've been watching him. He's making some pretty erratic moves, too. He's been inside, outside. He's trying to get back up there.
Watch the 48 of Jimmie Johnson, stuck in the middle. Yikes. Junior is making the kind of moves that you expect to see from an Earnhardt in the last 10 laps of the race, not with 10 laps to halfway.
Well, I think what he's worried about the weather, and he doesn't want that pit mistake to cost him a good finish. So I think he's really hustling hard to get back up there where he thinks he needs to be.
Outside the 2 at your door, all the way on the high side now. 33 is coming to help you on the bottom. He's 2 back.
When we come back, we'll cross the 100 lap mark, 250 miles, and after that, it's game on. We have an official race.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By FedEx Racing, we understand every day is race day. By Coca-Cola Zero, real Coke taste and 0 calories. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
Kyle Busch leading now. Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards around Daytona. 97 laps complete as you watch our aerial coverage. Brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Now, how did Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards get up to second? Watch this.
All the way at the top lane, coming onto the back straightaway. Jeff Gordon goes to the bottom. Up. Carl Edwards coming through. I'll follow right through there. And Denny Hamlin in the 11 jumps in behind Carl, and they all follow suit.
I don't think they used any blinkers either.
No. Or no hand signals,
no hand
probably.
Signals.
Make them count here, buddy. 3 wide bottom. Everybody's with you. Still 3. Now you're clear, all clear. Great job.
2 laps to halfway. And all that means is from that point on, if the race is called due to rain coming in from the west, it would be an official race. We would not come back tomorrow. However, NASCAR has the option in the event of rain to red flag the race, park the cars, and try and dry the track and resume later today.
Everybody's still nice and tight.
You know, if you go back to qualifying last Sunday, I think there was a little bit of concern in the Toyota camp. They just didn't have a lot of fast speed. In fact, Kyle Busch was the fastest qualifying Toyota, just barely inside the top 15. But boy, ever since we got the race trim, the dual races included, today Toyota's showing a lot of strength. See right here, 100% throttle on Denny Hamlin. That means wide open all the way around this 2.5 mile racetrack.
Crossed flags in the starters' hands. That signifies to the drivers we are halfway in the 51st Daytona 500.
That's actually a very vital piece of information that the driver needs to relay to the crew. Practicing, qualifying, racing. How many RPM are you losing in the corner? That helps the crew chief know what the car is doing. Is bogging it down by pushing most of the time.
If you led the Daytona 500 at halfway, as Kyle Busch just did, in the last 5 years, you didn't go to victory lane.
Just had a pretty erratic move there by the 26 car of McMurray. I'm not sure if he got forced over there.
You have to go all the way back to Davey Allison in 1992 to find a driver who led the halfway lap and wound up in victory lane.
And I was encouraging him to forget about that halfway lap. It wasn't real important, but he wasn't. I think he had a bad connection on the other end of the radio.
Well, Kyle Busch is just adding to the total of laps led here at Daytona. He led 149 last year, I think, and he's just adding on to them.
He and Tony Stewart have a habit of dominating this race, leading a lot of laps, and coming up short by just this much.
Well, it reminds me of something Larry and I were talking about with Dale Sr. When he go practice or even in the race right here, didn't want to get back in the pack. Why did he tell you that, Larry?
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Sr., I'd say, Dale, do we not need to get back in the pack a little bit and see what our car's doing? He'd tell me, don't plan on running there. And he normally backed it up.
You know, what we've not seen much of today is the defending and 3-time Sprint Cup champ, Jimmie Johnson. Steve, he's back in 22nd place. What's up with that?
Yeah, Mike, he's mid-pack. In the last caution, I went down and checked in the 48 pits, and it seems like he's been tight from the very start, and they just haven't been able to get that car to his comfort level that he needs.
That's what I've noticed with that car. Ooh, a lot of beating and banging here at the front of the field. Jimmie Johnson's car's got that dreaded push to loose. You got wheel in it, wheel in it. There you see wheel in it, wheel in it. No, it's been snapping back to the right on corner exit. That's where he's really been having trouble. But he's got a lot of wheel in it. A lot of steering input is what I'm saying.
And look at all the 2x2 in this pack behind the 4 leaders, especially back where Johnson is. When you see those first
right on the bottom.
When you see those first drops of water on the windshield, that's when everybody starts making those last lap moves, because you never know.
Again, looking at Jimmie Johnson, that's when you're bogging the car down in the corner. When you've got that much steering input, you're killing the corner speed, plus the thing will snap loose if you're not careful.
Teammates running 1-2, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Krista?
Yeah, Denny Hamlin has moved up into second, and the FedEx Express Toyota is definitely hauling the mail as we speak. You know, this is an important year for Denny Hamlin. He told me earlier this week that he feels like he hasn't lived up to his potential. Says he's tired of being the guy who's never done anything. Well, if he could win the Daytona 500, wouldn't that be something?
Well, he's done a couple of somethings. He's not zero.
Won the Budweiser shootout in his first appearance.
Yeah, he won Pocono a couple of times, and
he's qualified for the chase all 3 years. He's been full-time in Sprint Cup.
We need to talk to these guys, Larry. We need to sit them down and show them the numbers. They don't look at the numbers like you and I do.
But Denny Hamlin's run 3 Daytona 500s, finished 30th, 28th, and 17th.
Working on improving that.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Get the inside track from Penske Racing and race analysis from our drivers, plus highlights and high-speed action, all on VCast from Verizon Wireless, America's largest, most reliable wireless network.
108 laps complete. Joe Gibbs' Toyota teammates Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin leading the Fords of Carl Edwards, Jamie McMurray. Then Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fought his way back up to 7th. A.J. Allmendinger having a great Daytona 500 debut in 8th. Pepsi Racing presents Race Day Payday, your chance to win the same cash prize as the winning driver every race. Now, entries for today are closed, but go to PepsiRacing.com, enter for next week's race in California, and get all the details on how to win. We're told that rain is between 20 and 40 minutes away. That is unofficial, and teams have access to the same Doppler radar and information that we have. And you see that one big storm that's blowing up north of Orlando and is headed this way. Once again, rain would force a halt to this race, but not necessarily a checkered flag. NASCAR has the option. If they see a window behind that storm, they may elect to put the race under the red flag and wait it out and resume.
Yeah, it looks pretty broken, you know. I mean, it's not solid, so a little rain shower and get back to it.
Now here's what has me a little bit nervous. We are working on the longest green flag run of the day. We're at 25 laps. When we've had the 1 or 2 tire situations early in the race, this is about the time it showed up. I go back to Travis Quapple in that 28 car back on lap 54. That's about how many laps we had run when he had the right front that gave out on him.
The Fords of Edwards and McMurray closing right up on the leaders. Matt?
Handling's definitely improved for Carl Edwards working the bottom. Earlier, the car was too free to run down low. The temperature, though, continues to drop. Meanwhile, a few other folks, like Roy McCauley in the 12 and Drew Blickensderfer on the 17 pit boxes, hand signals back and forth, working on their next stop. Dick?
Jamie McMurray's frustrations are boiling over. He has run most of this day in 4th position with no help behind him. He just keyed the radio and said he has got to get away from them. Earnhardt Jr. said, "Tell my spotter, we are racing to the rain."
Well, and I think when I look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car back there in 6th, Darrell and I were talking at one of the commercial breaks. The only way he's ever going to, I think, be able to put that mistake he made on pit road out of his mind is get that 88 back to the lead, and then it'll be all behind him.
Yeah, that's as hard as I've seen Junior drive a car here in a long time, trying to make up for that pit mistake, and he's almost back up there where he feels like he should have been. I tell you, a guy that has got his hands full, Larry. I don't know what's going on. They need a caution to work on it. Jimmie Johnson, his car is just not handling good for him right now.
We're riding with him. This is the rear bumper cam, and you can see.
Clear all around, clear all around.
He had to get out of the gas there, and Martin Truex almost ran over him. That was over in turn 2.
He's back in the 23rd position right now.
Meanwhile, his teammate, who's had one of the best cars here all week, Jeff Gordon, may have an issue. Steve?
Yeah, he's been good down here, but not right now, Mike. Jeff Gordon just expressed concern. In fact, the crew is starting to zip up their uniforms, tighten their helmets. He said that right front is going away. You see him dropping back.
Well, again, it's just as I mentioned, this is the longest green flag run we have had right here, and we are still a good 12 to 14 laps away from what would be routine stops.
28 right here, 28.
If he saw the right front tire that came off his car earlier, he'd be coming in next time by.
Yeah, we're at lap 113 and 40.
I'm coming next time.
There he comes.
Boy. He didn't see it, but he knows about it.
Jeff Gordon is a big picture racer. He'd love to win this race. And there he peels off to the bottom of the racetrack, but he knows he has to have a car in one piece to be able to finish it.
You're not going to be able to win it with the right front wrapped up around the windshield.
And there's some guys that can drive these cars and never thinking about anything being wrong with them. They don't feel it. But a guy like Jeff Gordon, he feels everything about that race car. When it's not right, he knows it.
4,200, let's go, 4,200.
So Gordon peels off, and he will likely lose a lap changing tires on pit road.
Well, now there's a big red flag all up and down pit road. Oh, no. Jeff Gordon's in the pits. Now, you watch these other guys.
Come on down. Come on down. You are 5, 4, 3, 2.
And Jeff Gordon told Steve Letarte, he said, I am coming. That's 29 laps on that set of tires. They didn't hesitate to bring him in. Clay Robinson, Timmy Leininger changing tires, no other adjustments.
You better believe their pits will be very crowded here in a few seconds with everybody coming from other teams to look at those tires.
A lot of tire inspectors will be over there. Some with Goodyear shirts on, some with other race team shirts on.
Now he's coming out of the pits, 55-mile-an-hour pit road speed. Here comes the field at 190. Jeff will not get up to speed before that team overhauls him.
All he cares about is blending in with the leaders. That way he would be the first car a lap down there. His teammate Jimmie Johnson in the 48's on pit road, as well as Scott Speed in the 82. But Jeff Gordon just wants to be the first car lap down. Should we get a caution, he would get the free pass. Steve.
And Larry Mack just heard Jimmie Johnson say something you never hear him say. He said, my car is terrible as I have to push his car back. He was on the line, but again, saying my car is terrible.
If I were Jimmie Johnson, I would hope I had a bad tire, the way his car was driving, because he was all over the place.
Scott Speed. Scott Speed's also made a pit stop. And for Jeff Gordon, mission accomplished. He blended in, 5th in line, 1 lap down. If a caution comes out, he would be the free pass car.
In the free pass is simply when we get a caution, the field is frozen, and the first car a lap down. Now that's off the 24 car right there. Almost looks like one that we saw earlier. Once again, Darrell, that inside shoulder.
Oh, boy, that makes me draw up, and I'm sitting up here because I know what's happening next with that baby.
Former IndyCar star Sam Hornish.
Got a geyser.
Yep. Larry, when will they stop absent tire issues?
Well, if we're going to run a full fuel run here, we're looking at about 8 to 12 laps. And what that would do is when you look at this right here, that makes it where we can make it on one more pit stop going to the end of the race.
On that 24 car, that is a camber issue. That is on the inside of the tire. So that probably tells some of these other guys, we don't have that much camber, you're going to be fine.
Matt?
JPM is in. A chassis adjustment from Montoya, still trying to tweak that race car. The 83 of Vickers was in as well. He was very pleased with the 83 car.
So several green flag stops, but most of the leaders are staying out on the racetrack. The top 30 cars have not yet pitted in this green flag run. Kyle Busch brings them back to the line to complete 118 of 200 scheduled laps.
Larry, I'm gonna oh, there's a car coming on pit road here that blew a tire.
Exploded at Stremme.
David Stremme in the 12 car.
That looks like Ryan Newman's car after practice the other day. And caution for debris will hurt Montoya and Jimmie Johnson and Brian Vickers. It will be Jeff.
Guys, get the tires on. Let's get back across them.
It'll be Jeff Gordon's best friend. He'll get the free pass. And even though he'll have to pit after the rest of the lead lap cars, he'll be able to come around and be back on the lead lap.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is delivered by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR, and proud sponsors of David Reagan and the number 6 Ford Fusion.
Coming to 120 laps, 300 miles of 500. In the 51st Daytona 500, David Stremme was running 10th and appeared like he was headed for pit road when the right rear tire exploded. But Stremme has made repairs and is back on track. Jeff Gordon is the free pass car. Pit road's open. Matt.
The 99 of Carl Edwards could see on the big screen that the 12 Stremme had just pulled away. They're going to make a small air pressure change in the right rear. Dick.
They counted Junior down. He is parked in his pit. The right front tire is over the line. Steve.
Dick, Mark Martin said the tire lasted, but I hate to drive it this way. One round in the left rear, Krista.
The field has been chasing the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas, and they have been chasing the weather. Cheers erupted when that caution came out. They knew they were ready for tires. 4 tire change for both cars.
Now they're going to hold that 88 car.
They are.
Because they went ahead and made the pit stop at that right front tire on the line. Second mistake of the day for that group.
The line, the 4th this week.
The line is out of bounds. The right rear is the only tire allowed to be on or over the line. Here's Junior coming in, and he's way outside where the signboard was, and you see the official motioning. You're not in the box, so you will sit there and serve a penalty.
One lap.
Yikes. Back at the Daytona 500. Here's a look at Fox 3D and our buddy Digger in virtual and reality.
He's a little behind today sometimes.
He's had a busy day, and so has Dale Earnhardt Jr. If your right front tire is on or over the line, you are out of your pit box.
And the official, I don't understand the official standing right there. Now watch this kid right here. He says, come on, man, get out of my way. And that guy's trying to help him.
And you see the right front is on the line. Out of bounds.
And again, if they had put that car in the box before they started their work, it would have been no penalty.
Down to the Ford cutaway car, Jeff Hammond.
Well, Mike, a lot of people are going to ask, what could Jeff Gordon do to maybe fix his tire issue? He's had 2 situations during the course of the race. One tire was good, the other 2 not too good. And we talked about it being a camera issue. What that means is the inside of this tire is being overworked. The only way you could fix that would be come down pit road, loosen up the A-frame, and then pull a shim out, allowing this tire to be stood up a little bit more. Now, we all know that's going to take way too long and cost them a lot of time. One other thing they might be able to do, if they're running the Packer system, the car's traveling a little bit too much once again, you could always come in and add a thin shim to this shock, allowing it not to travel quite as much. Again, keeping it off that inside shoulder of the tire, hopefully making it to go a few laps further, because again, we know how close he was to maybe blowing that right front tire out before he came to pit road. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff. There's a look at our Ford cutaway car, our Ask.com Ford Fusion show car. Jeff's pit box, pit condominium, that is. I understand he stays in that on race weekends.
Yeah, it's a land of many pieces.
And the Hollywood Hotel.
They were all together at one time, but he just throws them everywhere.
Getting ready for green. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in high definition from DirecTV.
Well, we're going to have about 77 laps to go. We know that teams can make it on one more stop for fuel, but it just seems like we get to about that 25 lap mark. That's where we're flirting with possible tire issues.
Not for everybody, just for somebody that doesn't have their car just right.
Pace car peels off, and we're set to restart the Daytona 500 with 77 laps to go, as Larry pointed out. Now, there are some cars on the tail end of the lead lap in front of the race leader, who shows as Elliott Sadler with Reed Sorensen, then Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Carl Edwards. Sorensen driving the famed number 43 that Richard Petty took to victory lane here 7 times.
And all of those cars are cars that had made green flag stops prior to that caution. Boy, Brian Vickers, Dale Earnhardt Jr., that ain't going to work, boys.
Vickers hard. Here we go. Busch, the dominant car of the day, in the wall.
That was wrong.
And 10 cars sliding, slamming into the infield.
Jimmie Johnson, totally uncalled for. Totally.
I don't care who you are. That was just wrong.
Caution is out. McMurray was a contender. He's all torn up. And the dominant car of the day, that of Kyle Busch, is a victim of this pileup. Let's look first from the DirecTV blimp.
This is the result of a driver that's a little frustrated.
All right, there's Brian Vickers. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 right up there at the front on the inside. Coming off 2 down the back straightaway. Jr. gets a good run.
Vickers puts a little block on him. And then you be the judge.
Let's reiterate the rule. You are not allowed to advance your position below the yellow line. If you are forced below the yellow line, you must come back up and blend in.
Vickers puts the block on him, and then Jr. just turns right back into the racetrack, right in the left rear, Brian Vickers.
Saw a similar situation like that yesterday in the nationwide race.
And the results are a good 8 to 10 race cars torn up.
Now Vickers makes a legal move coming down to block Dale Jr. But instead of blending in, Jr. caught the back end of Vickers Toyota. And of all the cars in that crash, you have to feel for Kyle Busch. He had led 88 laps, far more than anyone else today, but his number 18 is junk.
Just all of this uncalled for, mainly with 75 laps to go in this race.
Let's ride with Junior.
Push you. On the bottom, 3 wide. 2 outside. 2 outside there. Go low. Go low. Go low. There you go. Good job.
Jimmie Johnson's view.
Outside, no help. Out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
Guys, be ready with our splitter hardware.
With Denny Hamlin.
There's a big pile up back there, Mike.
And finally, here's what Digger saw.
Both of the Gibbs cars were involved, Denny Hamlin as well. And I guess, Darrell, what I would say, putting a block like that on someone with 75 laps to go, I don't know that I agree with that, but that I don't agree with a car just turning off the below the line, just turning in the left rear of another car.
No, that's the thing I didn't like. I mean, yeah, Vickers put a big move on Dale Jr. and that's legal. You can do that, and that's why we have a double yellow line back there. What I think was a misjudgment, if you want to call it that, was when Junior came up and clipped the back of the 83.
Could be a lot of
that could have been avoided.
Could have been a lot of frustration on his part for what's been a bad day.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward.
One contributing factor to this big pileup, if you're wondering why Brian Vickers aggressively blocked Dale Earnhardt Jr., both those cars were 1 lap down.
Right.
They were both trying to stay in the free pass position if another caution came out. Ordinarily, you might not race each other that hard at this point in the race.
Exactly.
But Vickers is trying to either get back on the lead lap or stay in the lucky dog position. He ended up very unlucky.
And it's easy enough to blame Junior, but Junior was probably trying to just squeeze right back in behind Vickers and not lose any more time than he needed to. But that was just a bad call, a bad move on his part.
Who did get the free pass? There is none, because the driver who would have been eligible was involved in the wreck. No free pass.
We saw a similar incident yesterday in the nationwide race. Jason Leffler tried to squeeze in behind Little Wallace, and he clipped him. Turned him in the fence.
73 laps to go. What'll happen next?
The Daytona 500 on Fox is delivered by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
About a lap or so away from a restart. Here's our Ford Drive One moment. 1992. Davey Allison, Morgan Shepherd, a Ford 1-2 in the Daytona 500. Allison led all but 5 of the final 102 laps in winning the Great American Race with Larry Mack as crew chief. There's our top Ford right now. Matt Kenseth in third. Want to win a Ford Fusion? Log on to WeRaceYouWin.com to see how. Matt?
Mike, we've caught up with Kyle Busch making his way back to the hauler. What happened?
Not real sure. Just, you know, some guys having some bad days and not doing their best out there. Just made their bad day our bad day, and, you know, we had a problem. So it's just a shame. You know, that M&M's Toyota was so strong today and led all those laps and was running up front, just playing with my teammate there and had a great time. Just unfortunate that, you know, 2 guys got together that were a lap down that were fighting over nothing.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Yep. Dick Bergen? How disappointing is it right now?
Jamie McMurray sits in his car in the garage. Mechanics have a lot of work to do. One of the brackets that holds the steering onto the car has torn loose from the chassis. Jamie, you had such a good day, ran in 4th spot all day, but it's over. What did it look like to you inside the car?
I'm not real sure. You can't really see anything except for the guys in front of you, and the line just wouldn't go. And I was getting run into from the back, and I'm hitting the guy in front of me, and it looked like someone got spun around the front. But it was a really good day for the Crown Royal Ford Fusion. It it drove really well. Really awesome horsepower that we had this weekend from Yates and all those guys. Just sometimes it's not your day.
He thought he could win the race, Krista.
From work in the garage to work on pit road, Kyle Busch's teammate Denny Hamlin and the FedEx Toyota team going to work. They say the guts are okay, meaning the steering, the suspension. It's the cosmetic and aesthetic damage. You see the team working there. Car chief Chris Gillen trying to add some braces, some splitter braces for support, and they're also worried the motor's running just a little bit hot.
Well, of the guys we've talked to, I don't believe I've ever heard more philosophical guys.
One of those days. The other day I took a 2010 Ford Fusion Hybrid over to DeLand. 70 on the highway through town, 55 back on US 92. 44 miles to the gallon for the round trip. So you want to win a Ford Fusion? Log on.
As I watched what happened on the back straightaway right there, it almost kind of reminded me a little bit of the last lap at Talladega back in 2006 with those two players involved. A little bit of opposite results. Brian Vickers went on to win the race, and the other guy that was involved in that last lap situation at Talladega was this guy right here, Jimmie Johnson, in the 48 car.
I think Steve has an update on Jimmie.
Well, Mike, he's trying to make the most of a frustrating day. They've had him on pit roads to see if there's any damage to the splitter after that long slide. But after the slide, he said to Chad Canals, "Hey, did you see me? I did a cool 360 and got going again." And Chad said, "Yeah, pretty cool."
We'll show you Jimmie's view of what happened. A few sprinkles around the racetrack, so it's going to be a lap or so before we go back to green. You're watching the Daytona 500 on Fox.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, your world delivered. By Chevy, an American revolution. By Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together. And by State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates.
Getting ready to go back to green. Listen to this Jeff Gordon audio.
Oh, look at this radar. Trying to give you some info. I think the radar says we just got to go. We got to go like this is the last run, and if it's not, that's fine, but just do what you do, bud.
Green flag. 132 down. 68 to go.
I think we need to do a good job here of explaining how Elliott Sadler in the 19 car and Reed Sorensen, his teammate in that 43 red McDonald's car, got the lead. It was the perfect storm. When that caution came out on lap 118, the 5th caution, they were on pit road for green flag stops. And when the caution came out, the field slowed down enough, they were able to beat the field back off of pit road. They didn't have to come back in, so they were leading the race. It was the perfect storm.
What Steve Letarte is trying to tell Jeff Gordon is don't worry about that tire. We have got to go now because it may not go that far.
All right, this could be the last green flag run if those few raindrops we had a bit ago intensify. So Elliott Sadler, who's been strong in the 500, was runner-up here in 2002, leads this race as we find out what happened from one of the drivers that triggered that big crash. Matt?
Mike, Brian Vickers has had an opportunity to see 2 different angles of the incident. So what is your take now?
I had the best angle the first time. I really hated for the Red Bull guys. We had a good car all day. We're all racing for the lucky dog there, and my goal is to keep Junior behind me. And I went to block him. I beat him to the yellow line. And then he just turned us. He hit me the first time on the way down there, which is fine. We all do that. And then when he came back up, he just hooked me in the left rear. And typically NASCAR penalizes. I think the 38 was penalized 5 laps yesterday for doing the same thing. I guess they're not going to penalize him for it, but it's kind of sad. know, to wreck somebody intentionally like that in front of the entire field is really kind of dangerous. I mean, that's my biggest problem with it. But apparently he wanted a caution pretty bad.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks.
Vickers out of the race, along with Kyle Busch, Jamie McMurray, from that incident.
Well, there's three sides to every story. We know that. There's Brian's, there's Dale Jr.'s, and then there's all those people at home that can't make up their own mind.
Elliott Sadler, top 11, including 4 top 10s in the last 5 Daytona 500s.
And the truth falls in there every now and then.
Now, right now, we actually have 30 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 88 car on the inside, is the first car lap down. Ryan Newman in the 39 right behind him is still 2 laps down. But Richard Petty Motorsports right now with Elliott Sadler, Reed Sorensen, and A.J. Allmendinger in the 44 car back in 5th. 3 cars in the top 5 right now.
You know, this sport went through a lot of contraction over the winters, with teams merging to keep from going out of business. About 1,000 racing-related jobs lost up in Iredell and Cabarrus counties of North Carolina. But from that, Jeremy Mayfield and Tommy Baldwin have put together race teams and made the Daytona 500. That white 36 is Baldwin's car. Scott Riggs at the wheel. They've been on the lead lap all day. They're currently 19th. And for a team that has operated out of a borrowed shop for the last 30 days with mostly volunteer unpaid help, this is one heck of a ride in the 500.
It is a great ride, and there's a car, 2 cars in front of him, Regan Smith in that 78 car. That team's going to run a limited schedule out of Denver, Colorado. He's still on the lead lap, up in the top 15. Great run for our 2008 Robestas Rookie of the Year.
Well, the way this thing's unfolded, I mean, it's pretty easy to stay on the lead lap, and a lot of cars have been able to do that.
Now, what's going to be interesting is we have a battle right here between Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, Jimmie Johnson, his teammate in the 48. Both those cars a lap down, both of them fighting for the free pass.
Tony Stewart back up in the mix behind the 2 Petty cars. Sorensen 43, Allmendinger 44. Krista.
Yeah, Tony's still hanging in, especially after that rough week as his first race as an owner driver. But he has said that when he is at the racetrack, when he arrives Thursday night or Fridays, he is the driver. He is a driver while he's at the track 3 days a week. He doesn't have to be an
Crash
owner.
out of turn 2. Paul Menard hits the wall hard. And that wreck actually started about 10 cars in front of Menard. A black and yellow car, may have been Jeff Burton, got into the wall in 2. And everybody backed up from there. Let's start this going off into turn 1.
We'll see a car. I think it's
there's
Menard, but it's I think the car that got in trouble is Burton right here. I think he goes up and almost, yeah, see, he gets into the 78. They make contact. You see parts flying off of the back of Burton's car there. The 31, and
Menard's
Menard
a victim.
Just tried to get by and didn't quite make it.
But you're right, Mike. It all started way back in the middle of turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, Burton just started up the hill, and 78 Regan Smith's there. They make contact. 77-00. But here comes Menard.
Regan Smith came down on Menard just a little bit, trying to dodge Jeff Burton in the 31.
And actually turned Menard to the right. These guys should not, crew chief should not mention that rain might be on the way.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
The free pass on this caution, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Working caution with 60 laps to go. Paul Menard's car being pushed to the garage. Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin have made pit stops. We'll update those in a moment, but first, earlier today, Jeff Hammond filed this State Farm safety report.
NASCAR is about safety, and protecting the fans and the competitors is always number one. This is what they call a tether. It attaches the hood and the deck lid to the main frame of the car. And the reason for that is to keep it out of the grandstands and out of harm's way. Another thing they do is they worry about the tire and wheel assembly, so they came up for tethers to keep those attached to the car, and they're located here. All of these things are done with the idea of protecting the competitor as well as the fans in the stand.
Thanks, Jeff. Jimmie Johnson also came in on this caution, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's all 4 of the Hendrick cars in, among quite a few that have made pit stops. Let's get our first update from Steve Burns.
And Mike, listening to Alan Gustafson and Mark Martin, they really made a last-second decision to pit. They came in with their teammate, the 24, Jeff Gordon. Alan Gustafson saying, listen, with new tires, we're going to be okay. Mark was concerned about the rain, but Alan said, just trust me on this one.
All right, let's check with Matt.
And Mike, a lot of conversation back and forth on the team radio between Kevin Buschkirk, the new crew chief on the 19, and driver Elliott Sadler. Here's some of that conversation.
As far as we can see here, this rainstorm is right on top of us.
That's just my luck, Kevin. Welcome to the team. Showing rain on the radar and not on the racetrack.
Come on now, we've had a tremendous amount of luck to get here where we're at right now. Don't be like that. We're good. Don't worry about it. We're good enough to run and win this race.
They also told him, and you know, when you get married, your luck automatically changes. And Elliott said, this is almost as fun as my wedding day. Remember, he got married January 17th to longtime girlfriend Amanda.
Kevin Buschkirk, longtime Pennsylvania dirt track star up there before he came south.
But I loved what he told Elliott Sadler.
Yes.
Don't go there. We can win this race. I mean, he's sitting in there on the pit box. They've given the boy a car good enough to be up front leading this thing.
And the thing I stress, it's not like he and his teammate Reed Sorensen are way off sequence on when they were on pit road to change tires. They were just on pit road 2 laps before almost all the leaders were on pit road. But what I like about the Hendrick strategy, taking the weather out of the equation, is what they're doing. They're narrowing the number of laps that they have to run on their tires. They can now go 30 laps in 30 laps to get to the end of the race by making one more pit stop.
Plus all 4 of them together at the back, they can work together as well.
And now we see that strategy being played out up and down pit road. More and more teams are electing to come in on this caution. One thing I do like from those onboard camera views, no raindrops on the windshield. So that rain that is in the area and is a little bit west of Daytona International Speedway so far has only encroached on the track a little. Now, morning before yesterday, it rained hard for 45 seconds and it stopped. That's the way the weather is here in Central Florida sometimes.
I tell people all the time I love the Weather Channel. I know my buddy does. But if I lived off of that Weather Channel, I'd never go out of the house. And I'd probably never win another race.
But what does this race become, Larry? A series of shootouts?
Well, there's no question. We know that everyone will have to make at least one more pit stop. But what I'm seeing, you can see it brewing. You saw what was going on right before the halfway point of the race when everybody thought we were racing weather. I will guarantee you that's what we're preparing for is when we get to the last 10 laps, 3 and 4 wide, beating and banging on each other, and who knows who's going to win this thing.
Elliott Sadler is the leader. His car is owned by a new group, Richard Petty Motorsports. A part owner, the 7-time winner of the race, Richard Petty. The majority owner, George Gillette. And was that Tom Cruise? After driving the pace car, up on the pit box.
Up in Jeff Gordon's pits.
George Gillette, the majority owner of the lead car, spent the Saturday nights of his college career, of his college years, in the grandstand at the quarter-mile Riverside Park Speedway in Agawam, Mass. He's a lifelong lover of this sport. And right now, his car, with Emporia, Virginia's Elliott Sadler, leads Matt Kenseth, Reed Sorensen in another Petty car, A.J. Allmendinger in yet another, and Tony Stewart.
But what's great about Elliott Sadler leading this race with 58 laps to go, he was basically told in late December he would not be driving this 19 car in 2009. They worked through some things. They got back together. He was back in the car by mid-January, and here he is leading the Daytona 500.
Again, I just want to comment to congratulate that crew chief down there for that little lecture he gave to Elliott. You drive that car, we can win this race. We heard the same thing from Steve Letarte to Jeff Gordon. Look, we know we got a little tire issue here, but we got to run this thing like it's the last run.
30 cars on the lead lap, and most of those 30 crew chiefs have just told their drivers, we can win this race.
And you know a car Darrell and I have been watching, and we were both talking during a commercial break. What is wrong with the 55 car, Michael Waltrip? And lo and behold here, 57 laps to go. The two-time Daytona 500 winner, he is showing up in the top 10 in the 9th spot.
You know, last time he won the 500, I think it rained. I think it rained shortened it.
2003.
Yeah.
Won it in 2001, our first race with NASCAR on Fox.
Tom Cruise is sitting down there. He says, man, I thought they only did this kind of racing in Days of Thunder. I didn't know they did it for real.
Cruise was introduced to the sport by one of his co-stars, Paul Newman, and like Newman, went racing sports cars, had a good time at it. And he said, then he came to Daytona with Rick Hendrick and said, I want to make a movie about this. And of course, he did.
Now, we just saw Jimmie Johnson in the 48 car stuck in the middle there. Now, what the battle he's going up against right now is with Sam Hornish Jr. trying to be that first car a lap down.
Boy, the 43 and the 17. Whoopee.
Boy, Kevin Harvick got aggressive there to gain himself some racing room. And here comes Harv, the winner 2 years ago, up into 3rd place.
The man that started back in 38th position. This is a backup car, but it's a car that's been to victory lane here during Speed Weeks. Won the Budweiser shootout with that very car.
Elliott Sadler is challenged for the lead by Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick.
I believe these guys put a big old clock on their dash, and they wind her up, and it's supposed to hit midnight about the end of the race.
Now, if Matt Kenseth can bring them all the way back around and lead a lap. Oh, here we go.
There he goes.
Almirola goes off the nose of Casey Kane.
Hang on to her, brother.
Your brake. Brake there.
Man, it gets crowded back there. Goodness.
Caution's out.
Darrell, I think you were right.
In there, Doug.
I think somebody's glass slipper broke. Little damage to the right front corner of Kane's car. All right, first let's go back a lap and show you the contact between Reed Sorensen, 43, and Matt Kenseth, the 2nd and 3rd place cars.
Kenseth changes his mind. He was going to go inside, starts back outside, hits the left front of Reed's car, and the 43 there, Reed Sorensen, and shot him up the hill.
But from the DirecTV blimp, now here is Almirola side by side with the number 2 of Kurt Busch.
He runs up on the back of.
Yeah, what a stack up.
Yeah,
right
I mean,
there.
it's just they're just all wadded up right there. He gets hit from behind by
Sam Hornish.
Sam Hornish shoots him to the left about the time that the 43 cars come along.
Or the Casey Kane,
the 9 cars come along.
Close quarters. Almirola's way on the outside. There he gets a boot from Hornish.
Yep.
And across he comes. That was very lucky not to be another 10-car pileup.
And Jimmie Johnson, the 48 car, did get the free pass. He's back on the lead lap.
The 8th caution flag of the night. Now, will anybody pit? We'll let you know in a minute.
The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Ask.com. Where do NASCAR fans get answers? Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. By Subway, the big event is back. Any regular footlong for just $5. Subway, eat fresh. By Lipitor. By Sprint, get NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile only from Sprint, only on the Now Network.
148 laps, 370 miles complete in the 51st Daytona 500. None of the lead lap cars came in on this caution flag, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. First, another question from Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. What was the closest finish in Daytona 500 history? All you have to do is ask. Go to Ask.com for the answer. Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. Larry, it's been 27, 28 laps since most of the leaders were on pit road, but No takers among the lead lap cars this time.
Well, again, I think they're watching the radar and they're watching the weather. Everyone knows regardless, even if you stopped right there, you're still going to have to make another stop. And I just think they want to run this thing out just as far as they possibly can to see what this weather is going to do.
Last thing you want to do, Larry, is pit right now.
You see the bit of rain falling. Katie Kenseth up on the pit box for husband Matt. Let's check in down at the Hollywood Hotel.
Well, Mike, 52 laps to go here. You can see the rain coming down. The 17 car, Matt Kenseth, who is in his 10th Daytona 500 race, has yet to win one of these. Didn't win a race all of last year. Just a quick recap. We've had 9 leaders, 9 lead changes. One of the leaders, Kyle Busch, who's led the most laps, 88, going 190 miles per hour early in the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the crowd up hollering. He led for a lap, and that was important because later Jr. had pit problems, went a lap down along with Brian Vickers, so they're both fighting for that free pass spot. Vickers trying to block him, Jr. into the back of him, and at least 10 cars, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch, wrapped up in this wreck. And Brian Vickers, who's trying to block Jr., had some comments afterwards about Jr.
It's kind of sad. I mean, you know, to wreck somebody intentionally like that in front of the entire field is really kind of dangerous. I mean, that's my biggest problem with it. But apparently he wanted a caution pretty bad.
Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, time for an AT&T race break. Your thoughts? I asked you when I first saw that, and we heard the guys in the booth. Was that more Junior? Was that more Brian Vickers? Your thoughts?
Oh, that right there is a byproduct of the Daytona 500. I mean, when you get down this close, the weather's like it is, you've got a fast race car. You know you've got to get that lap back. Sometimes your patience run out, and I think he really felt like he'd maybe been blocked and didn't need to be blocked. So, you know, it's kind of like, I'll Junior.
All right, again, we are under caution here, but the race is official, should it be. We've had 3 Daytona 500 races that have been called because of rain, but it should be light enough, at least according to the forecast, we would be able to get this race in. Matt Kenseth leading A.J. Harvick. How about A.J. Allmendinger for a while? We saw Elliott Sadler leading. Here's a guy in Allmendinger in his first Daytona 500, had to race his way in, and he's been hanging in the top 5 all day.
This young man here is so impressive. All last year when he had to make races, qualifying on time, he really showed a lot of improvement. Like I say, during the offseason, looked like he was going to wind up in the 19, but now he is in the 44 car trying to basically get a ride. This is taking a look at his wife, Lynn, AJ's wife, and, you know, a big cheerleader. I mean, she told us a long time ago that AJ actually brought sexy back into NASCAR when he showed up around here, but he's an outstanding young man, outstanding driver, and I mean, again, very impressive during Speed Week so far, and hopefully he'll continue this through the rest of the year.
From Los Gatos, California, and on Valentine's Day weekend. All right, sexy is good for racing. Jeff's picks for today's AT&T fastest pit crew are Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards. And don't forget to vote for the AT&T fastest and most valuable pit crew of the year from your AT&T phone. Text the pit crew's car number to 2258, and you can vote. So far, that's what Jeff is thinking. And under a caution here, with Matt Kenseth leading Kevin Harvick and 52 laps to go in the Great American Race.
Get ready.
Ready. Green. Ole, 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 ole. What's up? All clear, still clear. We're not out running them speed-wise, but we're out handling everybody. Yeah, this is fun. This is the Daytona 500.
Welcome back to Daytona. 49 laps to go. We're under caution. Bit of a sprinkle. And the jet dryer still running, trying to keep some heat in the racetrack. Get it dried off so we can resume the Daytona 500. There is the Harley J. Earl Trophy, created by the great GM stylist and given to his friend Big Bill France. And it goes to the winner. You'll see that presentation as part of the Lipitor post-race show, along with highlights from the race and analysis of what happened in the 51st annual Daytona 500. That trophy, created every year, weighs 54 pounds. John Liebeck from Omaha is the sculptor, and the car on the top of the trophy, the Firebird 1, one of the great GM styling cars created by Harley Earl.
You know, we still have 48 laps to go, and we're going to get this race restarted. We're going to work as hard as we can. NASCAR, But there's a lot of things happening with the car that's leading this race right now, Matt Kenseth. One is with that man right there, Jack Roush, the owner of this 17 car. He's been an owner in Sprint Cup since 1988. He started Roush Racing, which is now Roush Fenway, with Mark Martin as a single car team. All the races he's won, 113 races, he's never won a Daytona 500. Matt Kenseth went winless last year. They made a crew chief change over the offseason. A rookie crew chief sitting on the pit box right now, Drew Blickensderfer. There you see him right there. This is Drew right here. That's Ron Hornaday from the Camping World Truck Series, his son-in-law. Drew has been in the Nationwide Series, and here he is in his first race as a Sprint Cup Series crew chief, leading the Daytona 500 with Matt Kenseth.
Today's Sprint Monster mobile moment was the big crash on lap 125. Brian Vickers trying to stay in the free pass position. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to take it away. Lots of contact, and in the melee, Vickers spins up and into the 18 of Kyle Busch, taking the race's dominant car out of the show and to the garage.
A lot of good race cars out with that wreck right there.
A light rain continues to fall, and the track dryers are out being overworked. We're going to try to get this race back underway. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where our aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in high definition. A light but persistent rain continues to fall on Daytona International Speedway. They have brought the cars to pit road, withdrawn the yellow, and issued the red flag. Some of the cars have now been covered up, and no work is permitted on cars during the red flag. Matt Kenseth is the leader. He has led a grand total of 1 green flag laps tonight. Let's show you how he wrested the lead from Elliott Sadler in the 19 just prior to this last caution coming out.
Actually, Reed Sorensen in the 43 gave him a little bump down the back straightaway. Elliott Sadler put the block on him, and then Matt moves to the high side.
I think Matt gets a good push here from Kevin Harvick in the 29 Pennzoil.
Wasn't nothing Elliott Sadler could do there.
Nope.
Sadler opened the door.
Down. And as we say, you got to push, which means you're going to the front.
So Sadler backed up to 5th place. Clint Boyer in the 33 also got by him as things kind of stacked up there. And then caution came out a little later in this lap.
That 17 car started 43rd, dead last.
Dick Berggren drafting Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Well, I'm trying to keep up with him going down pit road. Junior, what happened out there with you and Vickers?
I got a run on him, and he saw me coming. I had a big old run on him, and I went to the inside. I didn't try to make no late move and try to, you know, make some surprise or anything. I just kind of eased on over, and he went to block me and hit me in the fender and sent us both off to sent me down toward the grass. And trying to recover my car, I got back into him coming back up the racetrack. But I don't hate it, you know, for him, but everybody else got wrecked.
Was that accidental?
Yeah, it was accidental. I wouldn't want to wreck the field. I mean, he drove me down almost into the grass. I was just trying to get back up on the racetrack.
And Jeff Burton and you had conversation. What was that about?
Well, I was trying to get my lap back, and I made it 3 wide, put him in the middle sometime or another on a restart, and he got shuffled back toward the back and wrecked, and he was upset at me for making it 3 wide, and I should have worked with him, all that. But it's rain's coming, time to try to win the race. You know what I mean? Try to get him back on the lead lap. And we had a pit stop where our right front tire, I was told, was only 1 inch on the line, and I got penalized a lap for that. I don't feel like that's a fair trade, but maybe it's time we reevaluate that rule. And so I had to run hard. And, Vickers could have just held his ground. I had a great run. I was a lap car anyways. I wasn't battling for the lead, but he drove us down into the grass almost, and
and I didn't have much control over my car after that.
And early in the race, you missed your pit and Charlie. What happened there?
To me, look, if you look down this pit road, my sign's pink, and every other sign is pink. So, I mean, it's hard to see. I mean, there's one. They're all about the same color. So, you know, everybody says, all right, I'm going to make mine yellow this week, and then 2 weeks later, everybody's yellow. So, we just got to figure out. I was under a lot of pressure, too. I spent a lot of pressure on myself trying to get up in there and lead lap and all that, and I just wasn't thinking good enough, man. I can't really blame it on anybody but myself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dale Jr. did lead 1 lap so far today, and then the Daytona 500 is not over. We are in a rain delay. NASCAR attempting to dry the track, and if they are able to do so, we'll get this race restarted this evening. If not, right now, Matt Kenseth is the leader over Kevin Harvick and an interesting top 10.
Here's one thing I know about Dale Jr. He tells you the truth as he knows it. If he had intentionally hit Vickers, he would have said he did. And there's one thing I can tell you about that kid, and I've seen it year after year. He doesn't drive dirty, and he's really quick to admit if he makes a mistake. So I think as we looked at that situation back there, we could place blame either way, and I like what Junior had to say.
A couple of years ago, when the three of us sat down with Juan Pablo Montoya just after he came into NASCAR, we said, what's the hardest thing you have to deal with? He said, when I come to pit road, I've never seen so many pit signs. I see everybody's but my own. It is like a sea of signs when you come down pit road.
Okay, we have our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew lined up to talk to some drivers during this rain delay. First, Matt Yoakum.
Mike, Kevin Harvick currently in the 2nd position. A crash in practice. They had to bring out the Budweiser shootout car, which won last Saturday night. It was not quite what you guys had expected earlier. It's been a long work in progress tonight.
Yeah, Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet has been it was rough in the beginning, and we came in and made some really big adjustments with the spring rubber and some air pressure, and did a lot of things to work on the handling. We realized we didn't have the speed that we needed to, and you know, that was good because it was able to let me get pushed around a little bit and be able to be comfortable with my car and go where I needed to go. So it's going okay so far. You know, they put me in a position to have a chance there at the end. We knew the rain was coming. I had Boyer there pushing me from behind, and I don't really know how it all shook out, but if it winds up this way, that'd be pretty cool. Matt pushed me to win the 500 a couple years ago, and to have it kind of reverse the roles here, that'd be all right.
All right, thank you, Kevin. To Chris Devoda.
Well, A.J. Allmendinger is currently running 3rd in the Daytona 500. And I know you said for the last 2 years you've had to stand and watch 200,000 people cheer for someone other than you. How does this feel right now?
The Valvoline Dodge, it's a fast race car. It's kind of one of those catch-22s. If it kept raining and we finished 3rd, I wouldn't be too sad with that. But I think we got a chance to win this thing, so I kind of want to go back to green. But man, the car's been great all day. The pit crew has been unbelievable. They just came together literally 2 weeks ago. We just kind of threw everybody together, had some tryouts, and they've done great pit stops, just the whole team right now. So I'm having a lot of fun out there. This is what I've been missing for 2 years, so I'm excited to be here.
And remember, he's auditioning sponsors slated to run just 8 more races this season. Mike?
Thank you, Krista. There's Carl Edwards. Ducks love this weather. Nobody else in Daytona does right now. Maybe we can ask when the rain's going to end. Maybe.
Can go there and try.
Now, coming off, we've now heard from both drivers, Brian Vickers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Let's look at, we're going to look again at one of the more telling angles, but we were just having a talk among ourselves here. Here is the Dale Jr. on board.
Yeah, as he said, he's got a huge run, and you can blame Vickers for blocking, but they're racing for the lucky dog. I think Jr. says he got forced down and he was trying to get back in line. It is a fine line between getting right back in behind somebody and touching them. I give Junior the benefit of the doubt.
And I don't disagree. But what I heard Junior say is, he says, I was a lap down. Why would he block me? Might he not have known that he was racing Brian Vickers to be in the free pass position?
Yeah, I think that's what he didn't. One of the things he didn't realize.
And one of the keys he said, we'd been talking about it all during that point in time, was the fact we knew weather was coming. And everybody had ramped it up, whether you were on the lead lap or whether you were 1 lap down trying to get back on the lead lap.
But you know he was frustrated. He has been all afternoon with the pits and getting penalized that lap. I mean, I know that probably had a little bit of a pinned up aggression there as well, and maybe took it out on Vickers.
That's why it was a lap down, because of the mistake.
Well, they'll have a chance to think about it while we see if NASCAR is able to dry the track. Chris and Jeff, we're under a red flag, 48 laps to go, but as of right now, we're intending to go back to racing as soon as the track can be dried.
And that's a good plan, Mike. I mean, we'd be excited about that. I don't know how Matt Kenseth would feel. But Jeff, for people that may have tuned in and tried to follow some of the storylines that we've been talking about with the gang all day, and some rapid-fire thoughts, for example, on Mark Martin starting on the front row, the 50-year-old in his 25th Daytona 500 without a win here.
Well, he's been strong, but he's not been what we thought he was going to be. We thought he'd be challenging for the win, especially with the 18 car out. He's still not quite making it happen like I expect him to do it.
All right on cue. The ageless Dick Berggren is with Mark Martin.
With the equally ageless Mark Martin, you're running, what, 16th position now? Can you do anything if we get this thing going again?
Oh, yeah. We got a lot, man. You know, we pitted there on that last caution, and we're banking on a little bit more time. And, yeah, we've got an awesome race car. We've been trying to take care of it, trying to take care of the right front tire and everything. And, you know, we got out of sequence, but you know, if the thing would have went a little bit longer, we were headed toward the front with our buddy Jeff Gordon there.
So you got a shot to win this thing if we get going again?
Yes.
Good luck. Good luck. Chris?
I always joke about how Dick is up there in years.
Well, look, you need something. You got to watch those old guys like Dick Berggren, because every now and then they're kind of sneaky, like Mark Martin.
Dick Berggren actually first reported on Noah's Ark when the rain fell, so he's there. He's so old he knew the Dead Sea when it was just getting sick. All right, we kid. All right, let's go the other way. Other storylines today. Tony Stewart at Stewart Haas Racing hanging in there, currently running, what, 8th as we speak.
Very impressive run right now by these guys. I mean, coming out, basically bringing their backup car out like they've done, starting the back of the field, made their way to the front, been hanging around all day long. I mean, I think Tony's got an excellent chance, if this thing goes back green, to possibly snare in that first win.
Your pick at a 3-time Daytona 500 champ, Jeff Gordon. We'll get your thoughts on him, but let's hear from him. Matt Yoakum is with the guy on the 24.
And Chris, he just finished a great conversation. At one point, we had Richard Petty with 7 Daytona 500 wins, Jeff Gordon with 3. So we had some great conversation going, but everyone wants to know, describe your day so far.
Well, that's what Richard was reminding me about fate, you know, and it was a great conversation, just talking about, you know, how when things are meant to be, it's meant to be, but yet throughout the day, you're going through the highs and the lows, and everybody's doing it, and that's the way it's been for the DuPont Chevrolet. Started off the race, you know, we were a little tight, then we got the lead, and the thing felt amazing. Then we got shuffled back there one time, had a right front tire issue. We've been sort of nursing that, and we got fortunate that we you know, come to pit road and didn't blow one, but then got caught by the caution. And then, you know, we've had some great runs coming up through there, and then the rain, you know, is hampering things. So none of us want to see the Daytona 500 in this way, and if it does dry up, you're going to see one heck of a show. I'm just not, you know, we still got, you know, to get our tire situation sorted out. So there's, what, 50 laps to go. We still got to be able to make it, you know, all the way to the end. But I don't know. That's the other thing I talked to Richard about. We're sitting better than we were, not as good as we'd like to be. So you got to learn how to accept it over time.
How much do you reel it back with the concern over tires?
I'm not reeling it back at all. I mean, it seemed like we tried loosening the car up. I tried, you know, the only thing that makes the tire good is out front. So I'm trying to get to the front is all I'm doing. You know, we're in a great position if we go back green because we got fresher tires than a lot of the guys ahead of us. We'll just have to look at the radar and see what happens. You know, Steve and the whole DuPont Chevrolet team have been making great calls, great race car, and we're not out of this thing yet. We'll see what happens.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Chris?
Well, the thing is right now, what he was saying about fate, Chris, it must be fate, because otherwise the problem is it was the fact that these guys are here. If it hadn't been for the fact of fate, he'd have done blown that right front out.
All right, the race has officially been declared final. It is over. So Matt Kenseth, Jack Roush, there is your Daytona 500 winner in the 51st running of the Great American Race, the 2009 champ. Matt Kenseth in a backup car, slipping through for the lead, and now the victory in the rain-shortened Daytona 500. And our Steve Burns is down there. Steve?
Well, Chris, Matt Kenseth wins the biggest race of them all. Matt, what does it mean to you as a racer from the time you were a child to win this race?
Oh my goodness, it's
It's going to be really wet out here. It's probably going to cry like a baby, but just really need to thank my team and thank the Lord for giving me this opportunity, first of all. And just had a lot of great opportunities in my life with my family and getting me into racing. And really DeWalt, Ford, Carhartt, USG Sheetrock, Arnell Carriers, all the sponsors that we had that have stuck by us and made this happen in an up economy and a down economy. And man, I don't know, winning the Daytona 500 is definitely a G moment. It's just an unbelievable feeling.
Matt, you've won the championship, but what does winning this race mean to you?
I tell you what, after last year, winning a race means a lot to me. So it's really proud of these guys. It's Drew's first race as a Cup Crew Chief. That's pretty cool. And Chip for sticking in here with us and really going through the deal and trying to make the team stronger, putting egos aside, making the team as strong as we can. And these guys have been fired up and working hard. And it's just unbelievable.
Matt, you had a great practice yesterday. You guys ran more laps than anybody else. You told me your tires look good. When you went to bed last night, could you envision yourself a Daytona 500 champion?
You just never know what's going to happen. We've had some really fast cars at the speedways in the past, and I've just never been able to figure out how to do the right thing. And today we're able to make the right moves. And you know, we got some weather, but yeah, we did race 400 and some miles, and or almost 400 miles, and was able to pull it off. So I was pretty miserable by Friday night because we just couldn't make our car handle. And this backup car is actually way better than a 500 car. And I felt pretty good going in this morning, but I didn't dream we were going to win.
Congratulations, champion. Let's go to Chris Myers.
All right, so it's not raining on Matt Kenseth's parade from last to first. The former NASCAR champ, the Daytona 500, didn't win a race at all last year. He is celebrating in Daytona tonight. We'll have more on the Lipitor post-game or post-race show in just a moment. And welcome to the Lipitor post-race show. We're live in Daytona, NASCAR on Fox, and the 51st running of the Daytona 500 going to Matt Kenseth in his Roush Fenway Ford. And the celebration from Kenseth, his first Daytona 500 victory, and you saw the tears of joy. His wife, Katie, some of the other drivers, Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming over. And actually, Jr. was involved in that wreck that you heard him talk about with Brian Vickers. Matt Kenseth, Jeff Hammond, did a terrific job of surviving this, which allowed him to win the race.
Spot shadow right there. Look how close he was to all of this. He was able to come through unscathed and go on to win the race. It's unbelievable.
And then our sprint to the finish was on lap 146. Remember, at the Daytona 500, it's not about how many laps you lead. It's just leading at the one at the end. And in this rain-shortened Daytona 500, it was Kenseth who right here gets out in front and hangs on with 48 laps to go as the rains came and made it official.
Yeah, with just a little bit of help right now with Kevin Harvick, who pushed him by, and the roles are reversed from 2 years ago when Kevin Harvick won this race.
And we'll be back with more from the Daytona 500. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. A look at victory lane and the winner of the Daytona 500 and our Lipitor post-race show. NASCAR on Fox live from Daytona. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, we hope you enjoyed the race throughout the afternoon. We have a lot more interviews to go. A little excitement there with Vickers and Earnhardt. You saw Jeff Gordon. He wanted to get this in. Obviously, the forecast, the rain, it moved in the area. But Kenseth, and a very emotional win for him and for Jack Roush. As pointed out, his 22nd Daytona 500 as a car owner, a guy who's put a lot in this business, his first Daytona 500 victory.
Well, it'd be real interesting. I saw his partner, John Henry, you know, from the
Red Sox.
Fenway deal. Red Sox, there they are walking. There's Jack headed toward victory lane. Again, it's got to be very gratifying. He's won the 24-hour races here before, but he's never won the 500.
And let's check in with Chris Devota, who is with car owner and driver Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Chris, and after the week that this organization has had, I would say a top 10 probably feels like a win. But let's find out from the driver/owner, Tony Stewart. What do you think?
I obviously would have liked to have got back to green. I felt like we were better than an 8th place car, but you know, there were guys that were ahead of us that were better than 8th place cars that got wrecked today too. So you know, just really proud of everybody at Stewart Haas and all the guys at the shop and everybody on the Office Depot Old Spice team and the U.S. Army team for all the hurdles we've had across this week. We're down 3 cars and 1 motor, and you know, to come out with a 2nd, a 3rd, and an 8th in a week and a half, I can't say that we're that disappointed, but you know, we always want better than that.
Because he now pays for the cars, he said he didn't care if this thing even came home in one piece. Matt?
Krista, mixed emotions for Clint Boyer debuting a brand new team out of the RCR stable. It looked like the stars and planets were going to be aligned for you. You had a teammate up there. If you had the time, could you have pulled it off?
Well, I'd certainly like to think so. You never know. That's the bummer, about this whole thing. But, really proud of Shane Wilson, all the guys in the Cheerios, Hamburger Helper Chevrolet. They did a good job over the offseason building a team from scratch. I'm really proud of them. And, the naysayers already got us out of the chase and everything else. I think this just proves first race out of the box. It's, we're capable of getting a job done still. Just real proud of the effort.
Clint Boyer, 4th here in Daytona. Chris?
Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick both in backup cars, your 1-2 finishers. And Jeff, you never know. It's happened before 3 times in Daytona 500 history as the crew celebrates with Matt Kenseth. Leroy Yarborough, Cale Yarborough, Davey Allison have won. But you've heard the drivers talk about just surviving until later in the race when you need to make your move. And obviously it came a little bit earlier than many thought.
Well, I think everybody all day long had it a little bit pushed up, especially after the halfway point, knowing that this thing could go either way. So you had to run a little extra hard to try to put yourself in a position, on a regular basis so that you could be toward the front and take advantage of, much like what happened to Matt Kenseth. He hadn't have been up toward the front, this would have never been what it is today for him. Probably the most memorable win he will ever have in his entire career.
Mike, Larry, and Darrell, and as you guys pointed out, it's understandable why Vickers, Earnhardt Jr. guys were racing to the front so fast. They were aware of the weather, just not exactly knowing when. Your thoughts as we wrap this up?
Well, NASCAR President Mike Helton came over and told us the rain's expected to continue for an hour and a half. With the high humidity, we might not get back to green flag racing until 11 p.m. That's just too late. The fans have seen great competition, and it was time to call it with the rain in the forecast. But let's look back. We've talked a lot about 30 years ago. In 1978, Richard Petty went winless. He started 79 by winning the Daytona 500. And as I saw Kenseth snake through that wreck, all I could think of were the King's words: "I'd rather be lucky than good any day."
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth was both.
Well, I should have been smart enough to know that 20 years later, 17 would win again. So he's rolling into victory circle tonight in car number 17. I think that's the last time it won here. But those were tears of joy.
Yes.
And that big whew, were sighs of relief. That's Daytona.
And I think every time we leave Daytona, we think about the big story. And there's so many things, as we mentioned, when those cars were riding around under caution, evolving around that 17 car, a backup car that started dead last. All the years that Jack Roush has been coming here, he finally gets the Daytona 500. Matt Kenseth, winless last year, and I can't help but give a thumbs up to my buddy Drew Blickensderfer. Rookie crew chief, first race on the pit box in Sprint Cup, and he wins his first race. It's the great thing about the Daytona 500. Yeah, we all know we come here, you're going to have to outrun the Hendrick cars. Top finishing Hendrick car, 13th Jeff Gordon. I'm not sure Kenseth was on that radar of guys to pick, but that's the reason. 8 Daytona 500s, 8 different winners.
Matt Kenseth.
And Matt Kenseth celebrates as we get a look at the unofficial finishing order of the 2009 Daytona 500. We mentioned Kenseth and Harvick, A.J. Allmendinger, Elliott Sadler. How about David Reagan?
Yeah, outstanding runner there. Hey, former winner right there, Michael Waltrip. And Tony Stewart winds up finishing 8th. I mean, again, that's a great effort by an upstart team.
Martin Truex Jr., your pole sitter, wound up 11th. And Jeff Gordon, who sounded like he had some fight left in him. And Mark Martin, 16th on the front row. Carl Edwards. And, of course, we'll head to California next week where he won the race last year in the top 20.
Well, you come on back through there, you see Bill Elliott, who gave a good run right there for the Wood brothers. Should get them off to a good start this year. But how about the fact that Denny Hamlin, back there in 26, the Toyotas were not really the factor with one exception, and that was Kyle Busch. They really never showed the muscle they did show from a year ago.
And Kyle led 88 laps, the most of any.
Got Ryan Newman, 36th. Former winner, last year's winner out there, not having the day he was looking for.
Jimmie Johnson, 31st, as we watch him begin his march towards what would be an unprecedented 4th straight Sprint Cup championship. And
new hat rack right there for the cat in the hat.
Celebrating in any way he can. Jack Roush, he's won a lot of races, but none like this, never before. We have a lot more to go here in the Live It to Our post-race show. We're glad you're watching from Daytona. And we welcome you back to Daytona International Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, our kickoff to the season, like opening day and the Super Bowl all rolled into one. Jack Roush celebrating with Matt Kenseth just a recap of the way things began and went throughout the day. In case you tuned in a little bit late, on the pole was Martin Truex Jr., but Kyle Busch, Jeff Hammond talking moments ago, being the best Toyota. He led 88 laps. Eric Almirola backing off here, gets bumped by David Reagan on lap 8, bringing out a caution. It had rained earlier in the day, so the track a little bit slick. Junior taking the lead. And then Travis Quapple. Tires were an issue here as debris from the tire flies on lap 55. Junior pit problems on the third caution here, misses his pit. And Tony Eury Jr. figuring it out the next time. And Junior, it's close on the line here, but the official penalizes him. More than 2 minutes. Cost him a lap, obviously. 18-year-old Joey Logano in the 20 car. The youngest driver ever to start a Daytona 500. Tapped by rookie Scott Speed. Taken out. He was all right. David Stremme in the 12 car. More tire problems causing a caution. And then Junior in the big one. Vickers trying to block him. Junior said it wasn't intentional, trying to get back into it. At least 10 cars, including Brian Vickers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. were involved in this wreck. As Kenseth got through it, Vickers upset. Matt Kenseth weaving his way through, and that was key because Kenseth was able to take the lead on lap 146.
Kind of sad. I mean, you know, to wreck somebody intentionally like that in front of the entire field is really kind of dangerous. I mean, that's my biggest problem with it. But apparently he wanted a caution pretty bad.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. would later tell our Dick Berggren that he was just fighting to get back up on the track. It certainly was not intentional. Here, Casey Kane involved with Almirola once again, bringing out another caution. 8 cautions in the race. The rain came, and with 48 laps to go, the race was called, and Matt Kenseth leading the last 7 laps to take the checkered flag in the 51st running of the Daytona 500. The overview, Jeff Hammond, as we finish the beginning of the season and now start a different kind of season.
Well, I know it was a shortened race, but again, the race was decided on a last lap pass and probably one of the best moves all day long, avoiding a wreck. But the last 4 Daytona 500s, surprise winners. I don't think we really ever thought that maybe Matt Kenseth had the car that could make this happen. But hey, through a lot of determination, a lot of hard work by his team, he put himself in the right position at the right time, because it's always about track position in the end.
And Matt Kenseth, a Brett Favre fan, a little irony. Brett retiring finally, and Kenseth finally gets his Daytona 500. Next week, we hope you're with us from California.
One more time, let's get this West Coast party started.
If you ain't first, you must be last.
Gotta slicing and dicing. He is driving the wheels off that race car right now.
That's the way racing ought to be. He's destroyed that car. Oh, you want to see speed? Watch this.
Victory lane once again.
We hope you're with us then. Tonight on Fox Now, King of the Hill, American Dad, The Simpsons, more King of the Hill, Family Guy, and more of American Dad. The rain-shortened Daytona 500 going to Matt Kenseth in a Roush Fenway Ford. For our entire crew, Darrell Waltrip, Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Chris Devoda, Dick Berggren, Steve Burns, Matt Yoakum, Jeff Hammond, and Digger, and all the fine production people who work so hard on the Daytona 500. I'm Chris Myers. We hope you're with us next week, and thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox. Promotional consideration provided by these fine folks.